I get to teach about lighting, which is absolutely my favorite thing to talk about. Because there's a lot of decisions that we have to think about when we're talking about lighting. We have to think about whether we want hard light or soft light. If I had a show of hands, how many people here like using hard light? And how many people here like using soft light? How many people here like using a mix of both? And how many people are undecided? See, that's what I'm talking about. See, this is number one participant her right here today. Today, we're going to talk about all of them, but I'm also going to challenge myself with only using one light shaper. And what is important and significant about this is I always get the question, what light shaper should I start with? And when I hear that question, I don't know how to answer it because I think every photographer needs to start out with what first, besides a camera.
Memory card.
And you get a memory card. There's no wrong answers here. Everybody needs to start out with an idea. You have to understand what you want to shoot first and then start making decisions around what is then how you're gonna communicate the feeling of that thing. And so then when it comes to what light shaper should you use, you have to think about what problems do you want to solve. Do you want to show texture? Are you going to be in a small space? Are you going to be in a large space? Do you need something that's extremely portable? Do you need something that's extremely inexpensive because you're just starting out? These are all very, very important questions when you're thinking about what light shaper you want to start with. And today, I'm going to start with a silver umbrella. Not to recommend this is the first light shaper you should get, but I want to go through the process of the things I look at when I'm choosing a light shaper because it lets me know, A, what it does. Ultimately when I'm shooting, what I'm trying to build is muscle memory. I'm trying to use a light shaper so that intuitively I know what problem it's going to solve because anytime we shoot, we're always under a lot of pressure, whether we like it or not. There's always a little bit of a rush, whether it's the light that you're rushing for, whether it's the subject that you're rushing for, whether it's the client, and not having to worry about the light shaper, which is why a lot of people I think like being natural light photographers because that decision is already made for you. But once you start shooting commercially, you can use natural light all the time, but just understand that there are going to be times you have zero control over it for whatever you may want to communicate, for whatever the idea is. And ultimately, the idea is what's most important. So I want to say thank you to everybody that's showing up today. Thank you to Adorama. Thank you to Seth, because we're about to get into this. Seth hasn't said anything yet. Usually by now he's saying something. You can introduce yourself, Seth. It's like people don't know who you are.
I'm good. They can't. They're watching for you to shoot.
All right. So now we're going to get right into shooting, and I'm going to talk about why I chose a silver umbrella. I wanted a light shaper that's really big that I can also sometimes make look small, so therefore it gives me a huge amount of flexibility. And then we're also going to talk about using light control, which means sometimes if you're starting out lighting and you want to buy things that you're going to be able to use forever, like through your entire career that you're never going to throw away. And then you may also want to buy things that you can share, and I'll get to that later. But ultimately, at some point of this, I'm going to talk about using like a roll of diffusion. Once you buy this, you're never going to sell it. You're never going to give it away. You may cut a piece off and give it to a friend, but it will be with you for the rest of your life. It's something that will scale that they use on large Hollywood movie productions, but you could use in your basement or your home, and it's easy to travel with. Everything that I brought here today, besides the light stands, I brought on a little roller, like I was carrying groceries down the street, walking right in here to Adorama to do this demo. So I'm going to get started and show you why I use a silver umbrella, and again, walking you through the steps. As I do this, I'm not sure if you guys can see this at home, on the floor, I have marked off 2 feet from the background with that piece of tape, 4 feet from the background with this piece of tape, and 8 feet from the background from this piece of tape. So I'm going to try to keep everything within this area because for me, the most important thing is ceiling height. You are all going to have to work in a tight space. Even if you're in a big studio, you could have multiple sets set up, and some of those could be in the tight space. And so I'm going to start with what I consider to be a relatively tight space. I'm almost working in like the size of a V flat on the floor. and a little bit outside of it. And I want to introduce our wonderful model, Dshani, who's with us today. See, you get a clap. I don't get a clap. I don't get anything. But I don't need it. I'm going to start with our silver umbrella here.
You got to do the demo to get the clap, you know?
Well, I will start with a demo, I promise. I'm going to move this to about 8 feet away from our model. And I'm going to position this right over my head so that this little piece right here does not stab me in the eye. And then I'm going to ask our model to get up. And we're going to move the chair to the side. And we're going to put you at the 2-foot position. You can move it over there. I got it. And I'm going to have you stand up right at the 2-foot position. And I'm going to angle this down so that when she's looking at it, does it look like it's pointed directly at you? Can you come to the 4-foot position for me? Thank you. And can I just step in to see what you see? Thank you. And so again, I'm looking to make sure that this light is perfect. If you have an experienced model, they can be able to look for you. Sometimes if your subject's not that experienced, this could be something that you do ahead of time. In most cases, I would have had this set up before anybody walked in, so they just have to step in and it's magic. And so the next thing I like to do is I personally like to start by taking a light meter reading. I feel like it can be very jarring when your first exposure is like that either super bright or super dark exposure. And it does nothing to increase confidence. And as a photographer, you're trying to increase confidence the entire way through the shoot. Everything you do, you're trying to make the shoot 1% better. And so if I can have you step back up to this position. And again, if you have someone who's relatively inexperienced, having these marks on the floor makes my job really easy because they know exactly where they need to go to. So take a light meter reading. I'm just gonna kind of position this right by her forehead. And I'm at F4. I want to get to about F11. So now I'm just gonna basically turn my light up using my remote. I'm gonna take one more light meter reading. I'm at F16. So now I'm gonna turn this down exactly 1.2 stops. I was at 6.8. I'm gonna go down to 6.6. I was at 7.8. I'm gonna go down to 6.6. I'm gonna take another light meter reading.
Chat's asking what actual light is that?
I'm using a ProPhoto D2, 1,000 watt second strobe, and I'm at F11. Seth, I don't know, can they see that on that camera? And so we are at F11. And so I'm gonna take my first shot at F11.
Why do you want F11 as Cindy?
I use F11 because when I took my first exposure, I saw that I was at power 4. And being at power 6.6, I know that I'm gonna have room up or down. And this shoot is more about teaching than it is about creative control. So I want the flexibility to go either way. So therefore I picked the aperture in the middle because as I start out, I know that I have a decent depth of field and then I have enough stops up or down for creative control if I want it.
Will's asking, is the silver preferred or intentional as opposed to white in the umbrella?
The silver is intentional for this demo, and I'm going to show why. Because again, we're talking about testing out a light shaper. And so I like the silver because one of the things I want to talk about is the position of the light shaper on the actual light can have a dramatic effect on what the light looks like. So I'm going to take our first picture. I'm going to stand right under the umbrella. I'm going to have you look right into the camera. Beautiful. 1 second, I just have to turn my remote on top of the camera. I'll give a little test to make sure we work in there. And we're at F11. So I'm gonna shoot at about F10, even though I'm metered at F11 for our first photograph. Beautiful. And so here, the thing that's gonna be really important here is I'm gonna zoom in on the model's eye and you're gonna get an understanding of why I'm using a silver umbrella. And I want you to remember this pose because we're gonna do the same thing. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna zoom the umbrella And what I call focusing it on this umbrella is I move this out. Now for this, we should be good. Yeah, can I just stand where you're standing real quick? If I'm here, yeah, we're still pretty much where we need to be. Now have you come back to the 4-foot mark? Thank you. And this is still pretty straight on you. Are you straight, like right in line with it?
It's moved to the center.
Which would have to move it?
Move this way.
That's good, perfect. And you be looking right into the camera. Give me 1 second. Turn my autofocus back on. And beautiful. And the one thing that I should do after making that change, can someone remind me what I should have done? Yes. So now, after I make a change on a light like that, I'm gonna come back. Can anybody guess how many stops I lost? I'm at 8.5. So I lost a half a stop of light by making that one change. So here, I'm simply going to open up about 2/3 of a stop. I'm gonna actually go to F8. Take one more photograph. And now I have an exposure that's gonna be similar to what we had before. And so now this is I zoom in on her eye, and I'm gonna get even tighter. This is where you definitely wanna look at the screen. And for those of you online, you get an amazing view of this. Do you see how when I zoom it out, we have the hot spot in the middle? And when I zoom it in, now I'm activating the outer parts of the umbrella. This is very important because you will start to see subtle changes, such as the way the light wraps around her face. Do you see here how the shadow is darker on the right-hand side? And on the left-hand side, we have more light falling under her chin. So we have effectively softened the light. Can anybody tell me why we've softened the light? And you're starting to see some difference in specularity. Yes. Yes. So the reason that the light is now harder is because now when we had the light zoomed out like this, it's effectively a smaller light source. And you can tell by the catch light in her eye. Do I need to repeat the question?
Yeah.
The question people asked is, well, the question I asked is, why did the light get a little softer? And the reason is because we effectively made the light source larger. Even though I did move it away, that's also another reason. But that's something that's just kind of built into the way we're doing this. I'm not going to change the position of the actual light. This is one of those things I would do when I'm testing a light shaper. If you get something like a silver reflector or something that's highly reflective, or anything that has a possibility of moving on your light, the position of it isn't arbitrary and starts to have a major effect on ultimately what the light looks like. So zoomed out, we're going to get more specularity, and effectively we have a smaller light source. Then, so if I zoom in here, you can see these are, we're pulling hairs here, but you can see there's slightly more specularity and detail in the skin here than we get on the left-hand side. And we simply got that change by zooming the umbrella in and out. So again, we're testing the effects of the light shaper. Do you guys have a preference of which one you like the most, zoomed in or zoomed out? You like the first one? Cool, so we'll go to the first one and we'll knock out a few photographs. So for the first one, I'm gonna zoom our light back in, effectively making it a little bit brighter. I'm gonna remeter to get back to F11 if I can. How you feeling? Excellent. I'm gonna open up about 4/10 of a stop. And can I stand where you're standing real quick? Make sure that's somewhat even. This is on wheels, so it's moving around just a little bit. And now we're gonna take 10 meaningful pictures. And so when I see people shoot, oftentimes what I see happen is there's communication happening between the model and the photographer, right? The model does a pose, the photographer takes a picture, the model does another pose, the photographer takes a picture, and it's almost like the model saying, okay, I'm gonna move, I was rewarded with a picture, the photographer say, maybe I don't like that pose or I do. When I say take pictures with intention, what I want now is I wanna give 10 unique frames where we're both communicating back and forth and she's understanding that I'm looking for 10 different variations. So you can move your head to the left, to the right. Some you can do like eyes closed, even incorporating some hands in some of the images. And I do like when the little wisp of hairs kind of come in front of your face, and you can even play with them sometimes with your fingers. Excellent. Two. Incorporate some hands in this one. Incorporate some hands into this one. Beautiful. Gorgeous, and give me a little bit more of a profile. Love, and even eyes closed. And then chin down, looking right into the camera. And looking right into the camera for me. Beautiful. So right now, if we're working on doing a model portfolio, the thing that I just ended up with, one second, I'm just going to open my screen. If we're working on a model portfolio, I just ended up with 10 very intentional pictures that I can use and I don't have to do an extreme amount of editing. Everything is a little bit different. There's a little bit of a variation. We don't have 10 pictures of the same exact thing that when you go back to editing, you're like, what did I do here? You know? And so now it's really easy. We have 10 pictures, the lighting is even, and we're ready to move on to another look. So now, Seth told me that this was somewhat magical before, so I'm gonna put a sock on the umbrella, and then we're gonna take some more pictures. And we're 12 minutes into this. So our client came to us, she wants a series of photographs. We're gonna see how much we can get to in an hour, but still feel free to stop me for questions, because I love questions.
It's not magic. I just know they want to see.
You said it was magic.
Nah, well, listen.
You said it was magic.
Do you not want me to use kind words with you?
Don't take away my magic.
How no one could take away Ab's magic. It's just never going to happen.
I do turn the modeling light off when I'm going to jiggle a light around a lot because I don't like paying a lot for modeling lights. I'm going to close this. Oh, the purpose is effectively making the light larger or smaller.
Okay, so you could have taken the same 10.
Yes. I moved it back. So I asked the audience what was their favorite one, and everybody said back. So I just jumped in there. No, but it's also my favorite too. Having a light that's slightly softer and effectively larger sometimes is more flattering sometimes. So I learned this trick from Chris Fain, where you put the umbrella in like this, and then you gently open it. And it's like you're getting like a warm summer breeze as you do this. And you get like all this air that kind of comes out. And then you have this perfectly mounted and ready to go. That doesn't get a clap. That doesn't get a clap. All right. And now I'm going to put this back on our light.
What size umbrella?
This is a Profoto XL. And the reason I'm doing this is one of the light shapers I like using is the Ellen Chrome Deep Octa. Shallow. Actually, it's an Ellen Chrome Indirect Octa. And everybody tells me that it's too expensive. And so I'm going through a lot of the lighting setups that I do with that, and I'm swapping it out for this because the Profoto one is one of the more expensive ones in the category, but ultimately you can get an umbrella like this for about $79 from Westcott or a Glow. Everybody kind of makes a 65-inch umbrella. And so for this next lighting setup, I'm basically going to position this light directly behind me. This one's really, really easy. What you're effectively doing is I step in front of it. I'm just going to turn it for our TV audience really quick. When I stand in front of this light, I'm basically creating a ring light now. Me, a very skinny ring light, but it's a ring light no less, you know? And because the light is going to wrap around me. And so now I'm going to position this. 1 second, I'm just going to stand right here. Beautiful. I'm going to turn my modeling light back on. Wonderful. A little trick if you're standing in front of your light and you want to make sure your exposure is correct. I'm going to stand right here. I'll feel it kind of poking me, but I don't mind. I'll kind of put it over my shoulder because I shoot over here anyway. And if I can have you step to about 3 feet, so you're going to be about in between. And if you could do me a favor and hold this meter for me, because basically I want to replicate what the light looks like wrapping around me, and just put it right under you. Actually, that's perfect. Oh, towards me. Yes. And I'm at f5.6. I'm going to turn my light up to get back to about f11. I'm at 8.8. I'm going to go up about 0.2 of a stop. I'm going to go up a little bit more. I'm at 11.1. And now I'm at f11 again. Perfect. I put a diffuser on, which is ultimately going to change the color. So I'm going to ask, did we just hold up a color checker real quick? That wasn't supposed to happen. It did look kind of like a magic trick, though. This is an 18% gray card, for those who don't know. I'm going to sit it right here. Seth, I may forget it. You may end up with that at the end of the night.
I could use a gray card.
And I'm going to take a quick picture of our gray card. And could you step back to 2 feet? Actually, no, keep it at 3 feet. So I don't want to change the light. Move back just a little bit. Perfect. And I'm just going to, and hold it up right in front of your face. If you hold it right in front of your face for me, even higher. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. And this is just so I can kind of remain color accurate. I should have done this in the beginning. I'm going to come here with the eyedropper. And I'm going to select this white right here. And you'll see how that instantly neutralizes the image. Here's a quick before and after, if you want to see the difference that made. I'll get rid of the before and after. And now with the light positioned right behind me, and I like where you're standing, that's perfect. This is another very easy lighting setup. I like to see how a light wraps around me, because what position would I use a light like this in? A fill light, yes. In my fill lights, I like to be right on axis with the camera, because if I was using another light, it would start to disappear. And so now coming back in, I'm just going to remeter real quick. If you could do me a favor again, just hold this up one more time.
Yeah, while he's doing that, you guys in the chat can hit like. It's free and it helps Ab.
Perfect.
And he's killing himself for you. Look at you. Look at him. Look at him go.
Killing myself. I'm
Look at
having
him
a time
go.
of my life.
Look at the sweat on that brow.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Perfect. And you're going to be looking right at me. And again, we're going to do 10 very intentional pictures. So every time you can give me like a completely different look, even sometimes looking completely out of the camera.
Pressure's on. You got David Bergman in the crowd.
Beautiful. Love. Give me a complete profile. Yes. Look over that shoulder even more. Love. Incorporate some hands. And almost like you're praying and kind of looking forward that way. And eyes closed. And eyes open. And kind of tilt your head back towards me a little bit. And turn your head that way. Beautiful. And give me a complete profile, kind of looking away just the way you were before, yeah. Eyes closed, chin down. And then eyes open, same look. You're looking right into the camera. And incorporate hands into the last one. Beautiful. So now we have another set of images that we've added to our portfolio. I thought that was about 10. And now we've given our model a slightly different look. Let me just color balance these in a similar way, because I didn't do it the first time. You saw me make a mistake. But you can kind of see the relative difference in the lighting. So now we kind of have two different beauty looks going. Here, the background got a little darker. On the left, the background's a little lighter. And so now we're starting to add in those little 1% differences. So there's something magical about this chart. If you look at the bottom here, do you know what each one of these little white patches represents visually?
Stop the light. You're saying gray.
Stop of light? Yes, a stop of light. Somebody watched my video, or they're just really smart. My man. And so basically, each one of these represents a stop of light. Does anybody know where 18% gray falls on this? None of them. 18% gray theoretically would be in the middle. And so let's say as I'm metering her, if you can come back to position 3. As I take a meter reading of her here at position 3, I'm at F16. I'm at F16 because I'm not standing in front of the light anymore. That lets you know that was a stop difference because I was standing in front of it. And now that I come behind her, I'm at F8. And now that I go to my little magic gray card, white background, 2 stops below white is giving me this. So if I wanted to get the background to be black, I would meter it so that it was a 6-stop difference. And so in my head, if the client tells me, oh, I would love to get the background a little brighter, I would be able to do it with the meter. Every picture I take on screen, I want it to be definitive. I'm a photographer who personally doesn't want to do any of my guessing on the monitor. When I'm by myself, I do it all the time. I will not use a meter many times, and I'll just shoot and I'll see what I like, because you do have to build an intuition that's not based upon numbers, but I also want to know what the numbers are doing. And so if I look at this picture and the client's like, well, I want the background just to be just a little bit darker, not too much, I know that I could get that and still stay on white. If they want to go perfectly dark in this space, that's one of those situations in which I would have to use black or a very, very dark gray and pull her away from it and closer to the light. So now as we're building our portfolio here, we're about 20 minutes into our shoot. And now we're going to think about, okay, what is the next look that we're going to go for using this umbrella? Again, testing out a light shaper, we're looking for how many problems this light shaper can solve for us. So we have high key beauty, and then we brought beauty down just a little bit more. And you can see it's a little bit more sultry as we look at the two different images. We're still focused on giving variation, so every shot doesn't look the same. It makes our edit easier as we go through this process. And so now I'm going to take this light and I'm going to move it over to the side. And I have it right now maybe about 2 feet away from her. About right there. And I want to get the background a little darker. I know that ahead of time. So I'm going to move it about right here. Just give me 1 second. There's something behind there that I want to adjust a little bit and kind of get out of the way. And so now I'm going to move this light about here. I'm going to have you step back to position 3. So she's about 3 feet away from the background. The light is basically perfectly perpendicular to her. I'm going to want to wrap just a little bit. So I'm going to swing this way just about right to there. I'm going to come back in with my light meter. Again, I'm not going to do a color change because I didn't do anything here that's really going to radically change the color. I'm going to get our light dial back in. Can anybody guess what the exposure is going to be? It's a little bit closer by about half the distance. F22. So now I'm going to bring this back down to F11. I'm going to bring it down a stop and a half. Went down a little too far. A little too far. Almost there. Perfect. Now I'm around F11. Get a little sip of water.
If you need those batteries, I put them over here to phone.
Thank you, sir. And now, because this light is coming from this direction, Dshani, I'm going to want you to model two different ways. One, I'm going to want you kind of facing the light. And then for some other ones, I'm going to have you turn your face that way. So, yes. So we're going to start this way and kind of turn that way. Beautiful. And start looking at me and kind of head tilted just a little bit. Beautiful. Love. Fantastic. And eyes closed, looking into the light. Almost like it's very warm light. And you're just kind of basking in the sun. Beautiful. Love. Now I want something looking out of the light. Chin down. And eyes, head down more, eyes kind of closed. And head kind of going even towards the audience a little bit more. Beautiful. And bring like a hand to the back of your neck. Yes. And just eyes towards me. Beautiful. Now facing me straight on. And again, kind of playing with one of the pieces of hair. And a slight smile. Beautiful job. And last one. Love it. Perfect. Cool. So now we have a complete other variation that we're dealing with. And now we're just very subtle. Sometimes let the light, you see how the light kind of helps inform the pose as I'm directing? It almost feels like she feels the light as it's hitting her. And then again here, now we have something that's much more dramatic. The light is much softer because it's closer. And now I'm going to meter what our background is at. And so again, we're building a portfolio here. And I'm going to, if you stand back at your original position at 3, perfect. And so here on her, I have F8, F11. And then back here, I have 4, 6. So that's F8, 5, 6, 4.5. So like a 2.5 stop difference. You got a question?
You said the light is softer because the light source is closer?
Yeah, so because I'm using this diffuser and this light source relative to her face is much closer, the light is going to appear softer. You see how soft it appears on her face right now? And how she gets this entire specular highlight over her entire face? Maybe another question from the crowd? Oh. So now what I want to do is I want to make, you see, in this shot, I want to add more drama. I want to add more contrast on this side of her face. So now I'm just basically going to take this light and I'm going to feather it.
They're actually asking what light meter, and is that a green case for it?
This is a Sekonic L308X, and yes, there's a green rubber skin for it, which you can't get anymore, but you can get red, black, and blue.
You got to do a flex. You can't get this anymore,
Of
but
course,
it's mine.
it's green for good luck. And so feathering is actually easier from the front. I was doing it from the back, so I thought I was going to get lucky, but I'm not. So I'm going to come here, and I'm going to kind of bring this light right to the edge of her face and off the background a little bit. Again, I probably changed it by doing so. I'm going to come back and meter. I lost about 0.7 of a stop, so I'm going to turn the light back up. I'm at F11 again. And on the background, I'm hoping that I can get down to like 2.8. Can you move to your right just a little bit? I'm going to remeter her just a touch.
Yes, that is the nerdiest flex. Yes.
Once, come back this way just a touch for me. Right there, perfect. Cool. And then back here, I'm at like F1.0. So now I lost a lot of stops on the background, but she's still very close to it. Again, if we were working in a very tight space, I'm still well within my 8 feet right here. Like if we're in a basement somewhere, and the reason I'm showing you these lighting positions is because basically you could keep this to like an 8-foot ceiling and you'd still be okay. If you're shooting in a space that has a ceiling lower than 8 feet and you want to know, what do I do in this space? You go outside. you get another ceiling. Like you got to figure that part out, you know? Or you bring your model like a little bit lower to the floor, but it's like at some point you're shooting in a crawl space. And that we don't want.
Go outside.
The easiest way to solve most photographic problems is to go outside.
It's true.
I'm gonna meet her one more time. I want to get back to F11s. I had her move a little bit. The light's so close that my meter readings are gonna fluctuate a little bit more than normal. So now, again, my goal is to get the background darker. And now, taking another picture. And have your head face this way to start. Thank you. And I'm at F11, checking my ISO and my shutter speed to make sure I didn't accidentally change them. And now that I take another picture, right? And so again, I'm able to communicate to you what I'm doing before I take a picture. Do you know who this is most important for? Shooting film. When people ask me, Ab, do you have a problem shooting film? Zero. I have zero problem shooting film. And most of this shoot, I'm doing the whole shoot blind. I'm not even looking at the monitor because I've learned to trust the tools that I'm using. And my focus can stay 100% on teaching you and working with my subject. I'm not doing a lot of shooting trying to get to the exposure. I'm using that time to talk to my subject. I'm using that time to talk to you. I'm really not about wasted frames. And coming from shooting film where I shot all 120, or if you want to shoot 4x5, you can't be sitting there guessing, you know? And so now coming back, we're gonna give us 10 frames.
I can't take 400 Polaroids. What are you talking about?
Can you guys count me off on these frames? Because I'm missing count. I only want to take 10. That's all I get.
What lens are you using, by the way?
I'm using the Fuji 45 to 100 on the GFX 2. 102, sorry, these names are too long. Can I just call it camera?
Yep.
All right. But it's 100 megapixels. I really love it because it's more of a 4x5 format than a 35 millimeter format.
Still want to do that after that?
Yeah, but we're gonna do 10 variations. They're gonna count us off on these. I appreciate you. And ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Face that way again. Eyes closed. And eyes closed for these last 3.
8, 9.
And head back that way for this one. And give me like a perfect profile. So I get you right from the side. Even turn your head that way just a little bit more. Yes. Beautiful. All right, again, when I have to go home and edit tonight, my job is really easy. A lot of people by now would have taken 100 pictures of the same thing. I'm shooting this like I'm shooting film. I'm trying not to do a lot of looking. I'm directing and I'm shooting. And what's happening is when I go back to shooting her, now what's happening is we're connected. And now I've incorporated the audience into it. This is what photography is about. It's about getting yourself to the point where you're making decisions on taking pictures, not whether or not your lighting is good or bad. You kind of want to have an intuition as what's going to happen. You want to have tools that proof that. So every time you put an image on the screen, it's money in the bank. So already we're 30 minutes into this. My client has 30 pictures. They're all different. And we've gone through 3 completely different lighting setups. This is just too easy. If you gave me all day, we just run out of stuff to do. Wouldn't we, Seth? Yeah. And so now what would I want to do next?
So there's a question. If you wanted a completely black background, could you angle your background if you had the room?
I could angle my background, but that's going to get very uncomfortable. So what I may do is angle myself. This is a good question. This is a good question. You see, I like these. So what's happening that I can judge with my light meter? Excuse me, I'm gonna step behind you really quick. Is I'm here, I'm at f2.09, so about f4. As I get back here, I'm at f1, right? And so I'm not going to angle my background. In photography, everything is relative. I'm just going to angle myself, right? Which is, based on where the light is, I know that I'll still be able to get good results. So I'm simply going to come over this way, undo my cord. I'm going to shoot more to that direction. So I'm going to have you back at position 3. But you're still going to look forward because the light's going that way. And I'm going to move you to your right just a little bit. Perfect. And again, I'm trying to get a darker background. Chin down for me. And you guys count me off?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And look over, hold one of the strings, kind of look back towards me. Look back towards me.
7, 8, 9.
Don't get really tight. One second. Got focus. Beautiful job. Thank you. I moved 2 feet, and now we're in a completely different place.
Can you show the 10 again for group of 10?
Yeah, absolutely. The light snuck in on that one. So now you can see the group of 10. Let me do this. Ooh, 1 second. Let me do this, and then let me hit full screen. Our model has, well, you're only getting 9 of them. I'm not sure what I did with, I'm missing one. Oh, look at that. Hit away from me. But now we have 10 different images. My model's gonna be real happy, my client's gonna be real happy, because as impressed as your client can be with you giving them 900 pictures, it is gonna slow the editing process down by I don't know how long, and what's gonna happen is they're gonna lose excitement. You wanna keep your client, you wanna keep your subject excited. My model is gonna be able to get me her edits within an hour, because already we've shot 40 images. We have an unbelievable amount of variation. Ooh, 1 second, I'm not doing this right. I gotta hit control.
Chat's
Still not
asking
doing
if
it
you
right.
feel catch lights are always necessary.
Let me come back and do this a little bit better. Oh, I'm missing a set. I'm even missing pictures. Let me re-gray balance these just so they don't look so bad. Okay, let me try this again in terms of giving variations. 1, and then this was 2, and then this was 3, and then this was 4, and then this. Look at that. Dshani, these look good. Boom, those are 5 different variations, and we're about 30 minutes into this. And I haven't moved outside of this little bubble, right? These pictures came, my light hasn't moved more than 4 feet. My model hasn't moved at all. My background hasn't moved at all. And I haven't moved more than 3 feet. And this isn't even my favorite light shaper. This is a silver umbrella. This is like as easy as it gets. Can we bring up 10 silver umbrellas? Everybody? No, I'm talking. But I'm serious. This is, when you're thinking about light, you need to get to the point where you're thinking about light. Don't be thinking about exposure. Think about what you're trying to get the light to do. By making these little changes, these little tweaks, we're able to get multiple different looks. By feathering your light towards our model, I mean, just look. If we look at the last 3 images there, that was just by simply turning the light just a little bit. Again, photography is too easy to mess it up. I know some of y'all are gonna be like, Ab, shut up. But it really is.
You reckon my day rate, Ab?
No, this gets you more. And so now we're gonna move our model all the way back to the background. And one of the things I could have done to vary any of these shots up, I could have easily just slid in a hand-painted backdrop. So if someone was like, you know what, I don't like the way that looked, I wanted something like a little bit more texture to it, we'll hang this up real quick. I got it. Yeah. You got it? I got it. We'll make it look easy. Excuse me. I want to do all this by myself so no one thinks that they need an assistant, even though I'm blessed to have Seth. I just need to get to this light stand. So now I'm going to take this background. I'm going to hang it. Yeah, perfect. Look at that. Look at that. Trust me, I'm not that tough. Unless I'm hungry. And then you got a problem. And if the pizza's from Chicago and I got someone to back me up, then you know it's good. It's New York. Yeah, I'm live. This is my show.
I got a mic.
What I want to
You're in my house and you talk about Chicago pizza. I don't know what to tell you right now.
Whose house is this right now?
Don't even start.
Thank you.
For what, 12 more minutes?
You. I'll take it.
You and your casserole. It's not even a pizza.
And so now, who said amen? You know what?
Whose house? Whose house?
Actually, I'm going to lock this a little here. And then I'm going to raise this up to about right here. I'm going to move my light out. Yeah, these are gravity backdrops. You can actually get these at Adorama. I'm going to have our model stand back in front.
The chat says you're in my Airbnb.
And now I'm going to have you come forward just a little bit. I'm going to feather the light so I get a little bit of a gradient on the background. I'm guessing the gradient on the background now because now I'm moving for speed. I'm kind of going with my intuition here.
They're asking if catch lights are always necessary and important for you.
For me, catch lights for this demo are hugely important because it helps me show you guys what the light is doing, and it just makes the eyes look more active. Sometimes I don't want catch lights though. For me, it all depends on what I'm looking for. The only rule is to accomplish whatever I set out to do, if that makes sense. A lot of people who have a creative block is because they have no mission, right? Think of every photo shoot as like a journey. You're at point A, choose a point B, and go. I've never had a creative block in my life because I've never stopped. There's never been time. If you're standing still, you break through whatever blocks are in front of you. Oh, that's like a good quote. We writing that one down. We writing that one down. And so now I'm gonna meet her with our model again. About F11, 5, was a little hot.
The dimensions of the,
11.0.
what's the size of the backdrop?
This one is a small. And so now it's a 2.8.8. So about 11.8, we have 11.8, 4, 5, 6, 4. So we have about a 3-stop difference. Again, as we look here, 3-stop difference, I kind of see where I'm going to end up. Means the gray background is going to show texture, but be a little bit darker. If you can kind of turn towards the light just a little bit. Perfect. And let's incorporate some hands. Can you guys count me down? Well, 1 second. Man, you see how much confidence you just lost? Actually, my computer just crashed. No, I'm joking. But let's do this one more time. All right, count me off. Thank you, guys. 1. Beautiful.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Turn your head the other way. Turn your head the other way. Yeah.
8, 9, 10. Lift off.
That was the weakest 10 I've ever heard. What was that?
And so now you'll see I have this subtle texture happening in the background now, but it's still going off to black, which is what we wanted. We wanted to still get that fade, but having a little texture on the other side just changes the shot just a little bit if we want to get rid of the white. And because this is a gray, you see how close I have this to her and I'm still getting black? It's because this background is already starting off. If she's here, the tone of this background is already starting off 3 stops away. So by the time I bring it another 2 stops down, it's going to register as black. If I want to show more texture on the background, what would I do? Yes. I would bring this back this way. And actually, I'll bring it here. Yes, I'll show the 10. And there are the 10 photos again. Again, we have kind of 10 variations going there. And now I'm gonna bring you all the way next to the background. So if you back up just so the background's touching you, perfect. Now we have 11.5. 11, coming to our background on this side. We have 8.7, so it's still brighter on her. And it's darker on this side by about 3 stops. So now I'm gonna come back and take a photograph. So here you would know that that side's so dark and that side's gonna be slightly darker. And I'm gonna have you look at the light first. One. You guys count me off?
1.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Beautiful.
9.
Love that. Great job. And you see how now we've completely changed this shot by just incorporating a background real quick? Again, I haven't moved out of side, like we're still in our grandmother's basement right here. Right? I'm gonna go upstairs, get a meal, come right back down. What you wanna eat? I'll surprise you with that one, see? Don't ask
New
me if
York
they're hungry
pizza.
around 5 o'clock. You could actually get in trouble with that one. But I'm gonna move this out of the way. But again, you got another question?
Yeah, they're basically asking if this wasn't a demo and you're just doing the shoot, how long would it take you to just knock out 50?
So if this was a demo and this was a shoot, and I want to get all these done, I could get done 10 looks in 20 minutes with an assistant. And if I had someone who, going into this, I told them exactly what I want to do, exactly what meter readings I want to end up at, there's gonna be situations where you have to do a portrait. Your client is gonna want you to get a lot of looks. Your subject is gonna be like, I wanna be gone in 10 minutes. When I hear that, I'm just like, well, if they only want me to shoot for 10 minutes, my hourly rate just went up. I'm not like, oh my goodness, I'm sweating. So I know I'm gonna knock out 10 looks in, I don't know, where am I at now? We're at 5:45 and I got what, 7 looks in? Everything is money. I'm not editing anything out. I'm posting everything when I get home. I'm not doing a lot of adjustments in Photoshop. Like, I'm dialed in right now. But to be honest, I don't know, Seth. Depending on who the subject is, everything changes. Working with her makes it 10 times easier. Working with a real person, I'm gonna be telling jokes. I'm gonna be talking about how skinny New York City pizza is. And that's, you know, I can actually tell a story about why New York City pizza came to be. So if you guys don't know this, Al Capone actually is responsible for the cheese used on pizza because it's a low moisture pizza. And in Chicago during the Great Depression, he said, you know what? Our pizza's not getting skinny, not in Chicago. So he kept it thick, but everywhere else around the world, the pizza got thinner. That's why Chicago pizza's so fat.
We
True.
New,
It's
New York
true.
doesn't got time for
True.
casserole.
I'm
You
just
gotta
letting you
slam
guys
and slice
know.
and go.
I'm just letting you
I
guys
wanna
know.
hear this.
If there's another family, you go to Chicago because the pizza is always going to be thick. Can I have you stand next to the background, please?
Blasphemy in my house.
Hey,
Hey,
I'm just letting you know.
Hey, A1, hey.
I'm just letting you know.
I'm letting you know.
I'm letting you know.
I'm just letting you know. So now I want to start to, again, I want to give like another look, right? And so,
Someone's
yep.
actually asking, are you using 2 remotes, one to trigger and one to shoot with?
yeah, so due to the fact I'm using a 308X, which doesn't have a built-in trigger, and there's no built-in trigger for ProPhoto. I have one remote in my hand, which I shoot with and use to change the power. And then when I pick the camera up, I don't have to touch anything. This is personal preference. Again, for me, a lot of things are muscle memory. It's why I can sit up here and do a complete model portfolio shoot, talk to you guys. I don't even have music playing, which would change all of this, and still able to like knock out some pictures. So now we're gonna have her close to the background. I want you as close as you can get, almost touching it. And I'm gonna have you actually turn towards the audience and even get closer to the background. You can kind of kick the bottom a little bit. Seth doesn't mind. Yeah.
Cliff House already wrecked my
Move back
paper, so
that
don't
A
worry.
little bit more. A little bit more. Perfect. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to light her so that I get light bouncing off the background and hitting her in kind of a slow fade to the background. But I'm guessing a problem could arise with this lighting setup. So I'm gonna put my umbrella about right here. I guess, again, respecting the fact that we have short ceilings, not in here, but in our imaginary studio. I'm gonna take a light meter reading. I want you even closer to the background. Almost turn your chest towards the background. Even more. And get even closer. Yeah, you can have a light meter, perfect. So I'm gonna take a light meter reading from here to understand what the brighter side of her face is gonna look like. Then I'm gonna take one from the front to understand what the darker side of her face is gonna look like. So I'm dealing with like a 3-stop difference here. So what's gonna happen is I know ahead of time her ear is gonna be very hot and the front of her face is gonna be kind of dim. And then we're gonna get like the white background on the side. And I'm gonna see if I like this or not. My guess is I may not be in love with this, but we're gonna see. So now, again, you're gonna be right next to the background. I'm gonna shoot around f8 so her face doesn't get too dark, but her ear doesn't completely
Before you
blow
get into
away.
it, you want a question really quick?
Yeah, I can take a question.
If you got a low white ceiling, how much would it affect these shots?
This shot right here, it would affect it a lot, but in a good way. The other ones, it wouldn't affect it that much. Perfect. They're looking right at me. Here, I'm gonna look at it, because I'm gonna see if I like the creative decision I made. Oh, I'm kind of riding with that just a little bit, all right? And so now count me off. We're on 2.
2, 3, 4,
You can put a hands on the paper, like against it.
5, 6, 7, 8,
Look back into the light.
9.
Beautiful job. Bam, we got another 10 photos right there.
You guys have the enthusiasm of a late WCW crowd. Let me tell you. that was
And so now what I do is I'm looking at this, I'm like, I like it. I feel like the sharp fall off on the back almost feels like I was shooting at the wrong shutter speed, you know? And so I'm thinking to myself, but the fact that her hair is exposed, you know that it was done correctly. But what I'm thinking about is I want to put her right on the edge. And I want her face to start to hero and not her ear. And so again, I'm making these little 1% differences. I'm gonna bring this light forward just a little bit and then step back behind the light, all the way behind the light. And turn your chest towards the light again, all the way, get as close as you can get. Perfect. You're gonna kind of lean forward so your head's by the paper. And I'm gonna kind of feather this light so it's kind of like off of her ear, about to right there. I'm gonna come in with my meter. Because again, every time I take a picture, I'm not trying to waste frames. I'm coming right here by her ear. I'm at 2.8 on the front of her face. I'm at 4.5, so I know the ear is now going to be darker than the front of her face. And I'm gonna get another look, if you guys could count me off. Except now I was at f4, so I'm just gonna change my exposure to f4. Get a little shallow depth of field.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Looking back at the light.
8, 9, 10.
So I got a little tight there, and the paper was getting a little behind. So I would say here, I kind of made a mistake. How am I going to correct that mistake? I'm just going to ask you to take a step forward, so you're almost right to this edge. Right there, perfect, yep. And again, you're going to get close to the paper. And you're going to turn kind of facing the paper.
While he's doing that, you guys
And I
can hit
want you to move
subscribe in the
back
chat.
more to the edge.
This is
of
a
the
new channel,
light. Keep
so hit
going.
subscribe.
All the way almost behind the light.
Maybe we'll invite Ab back.
Almost behind the light. Perfect, right there. Beautiful. And I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna meet her again. And this time, I'm gonna give myself a little bit more breathing room on that side. 5.6 there. 4.9 there. The ear's still a little too hot for our taste. I'm gonna feather this a little bit more. 2.6. And about 4.5 there. I would normally put a flag on the umbrella if I had it this low. At some point, you will poke your eye out. I'll just show you guys what that actually looks like. Not poking my eye out, but putting a flag on it. Right? But if you did want to be extra safe, you do something like this. Because at some point, you just walk right into it, and then, you have to act like you're okay. And the modeling is asking if you're okay, but you're not. And that's when you just look at the back of the screen and you pray. But you use a light meter, so you know your exposure is going to be good. And now coming again. And now I'm going to look, because I want to make sure the correction I intended is now happening. Perfect. So it's now like she's coming out of the darkness. And count me off. 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Perfect. And so I made a correction there because on the last set, I got lazy. When I was here and you see like you guys, it's hard to see it there, but how did I do that? On this last set, I started off in a good place. Then we get to the one where she's behind. And then I just started seeing the background appear here. And I was forced to like cut her hair off. So to correct my sloppiness, I went back in and then I started here. I love how the gold earring kind of pops. And then again, we have 10 completely different images. And moving around, although my exposure changed, the first shot out of the camera looked good all the time. It increases client confidence, right? If I'm going through this shoot, we're about an hour into it, and I'm just gonna arbitrarily pick some looks. I got one. Then we have when she's really close to the background here. I'm gonna go with 2. We brought in the gravity backdrop, a different variation. Here we're all the way black. Here we had a little gradient going on. Here we had a different dramatic look. Here we're a little bit more open. And then here we're way more open. So already we have 9 different variations that we can give our client. And it hasn't even been an hour. And we're talking, right? And so this is and none of the shots are a miss except for those 10 where I got a little sloppy. And I knew that when I was shooting it. And I felt that the moment I was more focused with keeping her on the background than giving her direction, I knew that's when I need to stop and reset. Too many photographers shoot through that. And what happens is you have images that you then have to take into Photoshop. Our goal is not to have to deal with any of that. We want the shoot looking just like this. We got a postcard, no bad exposures, nothing that my digital techniques have fixed, nothing I need to jump in there and make an adjustment. Everything looks good coming right out of the camera. Again, this is like we're shooting film. If someone tomorrow said, Ab, we need you to shoot all film, done. RZ67, we get 10 frames on a roll. I just shot 10 rolls. Easy work. And so now we're gonna get a little bit creative. I'm gonna get rid of this, right? And there's only so much you can do with a silver umbrella, right? And to get more control over a silver umbrella, we're gonna introduce light control. That's why I bought this big piece of diffusion, because again, once you get a roll of this diffusion, you're never gonna throw it away. You could pass it down. When it warms up, it just gives you like a different feel. Like it never goes bad. This is one of those things, like if you ever had like a deep freeze in your house and those things just never go bad, they just go generation after generation. This is like deep freeze and it's gonna make you look more cool too. You like that? You like that? I just tied that in there. You call me Ab Jeezy by the time we're done with this. Be like a rapper. So I'm just gonna bring this in, because again, one of the things I'm doing here is my favorite light shaper is actually do all this with Elechrome. And that's one thing that would make me faster. If I wasn't using this umbrella and I was using the Elechrome indirect, I would probably be about 50% faster all these lighting setups. And so when people ask, oh, why are you gonna spend so much money on something? Again, I'm looking for 1% differences to get better. So as a photographer who's been doing this for, let's say 25 years, if I look for a 1% difference every month, it's exponential, you know? Or logarithmic or something, I don't know, it's getting late. Can't do math right now. But I'm gonna take this. This is full grid cloth. I'm just gonna roll this out. And now, effectively, I have the least expensive large softbox you could possibly get. Why am I using grid cloth? Because Roscoe makes this in 60 inches. So this is huge. I absolutely love this. Oh, we got Martise back there. You got Martise back there. And Bergman, what's up? Look at the whole crew's back there. That's what I'm talking about.
Where were you guys from my demo? What's up?
But so now I have this piece of grid cloth. Again, this is the least expensive softbox you could ever get in your life. It lasts forever. The quality control is amazing, and it always sits flat. And worst case scenario, I could throw a light against the wall, have it come back through here, and do beautiful things. Because I just got done shooting her against a white wall. What happens when I want to shoot her against an illuminated wall, right? And so now I want you to come close to this white background, similar to the way you were before, but even turn your chest towards the background and get even closer to it. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take a light meter reading. I'm at F8. And just so you know, power, I'm at 6.3. So 1,000 watt seconds, 500 watt seconds, 250, you could get this power probably using a speed light. I'm probably around 75 watt seconds or less. I'm at F8. I have her right next to now what I'm calling like my illuminated background. And I was about F8.5. And again, you can get really close to it. The fact she's getting closer, I'm gonna open up just a little bit. Beautiful. You guys gonna count me off? Please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Thank you. So now we have a completely different look. We have this like beautiful angelic style of light. It's super soft and just kind of slowly falling off.
Is that the grid cloth you're using?
Yep. So instead of 48 inches, there's a 60-inch version. And now if you see the catch light in her eyes, and so this is where I'm like, oh, I may need to change lenses because I like what I'm seeing there, right? Again, if I was shooting commercially, sometimes just by changing lenses, you're able to get like a completely different look and feel to the images. Because what I have going on here is I have, just checking what aperture I was at, that was about 11. All right. Is I really love the way the eyes look now. So to bring those out, I'm gonna use a lens change. I often change lenses when I want a different perspective. People ask what lens you're using and why. Here, I want a macro lens, so I get really tight. We're gonna go back to that same pose. Because I'm using macro lens too, oftentimes there is a little bit of light loss. The things that step on exposure are your lens. Most lenses are darker than what they say. By the time it goes into the computer steps on it again. And then by the time it outputs to a screen, the screen steps on it again. And so that's another reason I use a light meter, because it helps me understand that I'm getting eye exposed to get the maximum dynamic range of the picture for whatever I'm looking to shoot, so that I have the most control in post to change things later. And so now, coming back in, I'm gonna go macro. I'm opening up here just a little bit because I'm with a macro lens. And I gotta turn the camera back on, that would help. And now, 1 second.
That's the 120. That's the 120 macro.
Yeah, the GFX 120 macro. And now I'm really tight and ready. And you guys count me off? Please.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Give me 1 second, just getting focused.
5,
Bring a little bit of the earring into it.
6,
Eyes open again.
7,
Sorry, that was a misframe. Chin up again. Eyes open.
9, 10.
Did you have a misframe? Did you say misframe?
Oh, there was one frame I actually didn't mean to take. That's what I meant when I was misframe. I'll let her know that I didn't want to take that picture, and then we'll go back and she kind of knows to hold the pose and I can do it again. So again, we have another look. Simply by coming in closer, using this diffusion. Do I have time for one more look? I'm gonna give you guys a little treat. Because how many people here know how to use a zone system?
Oh wow.
Ah, we got some in there. I'm gonna make this really easy. I've been setting you guys up to become masters of the zone system the entire night. Because basically all you wanna do is understand the values in front of you as you're shooting. So now I'm gonna pull out a spot meter. Dun, dun, dun. We need sound effects. The one thing we're missing is buttons that I can hit. Drum roll, crowd laughter, sound effects. Oh, he has something in there.
Oh wait, oh wait, hold on. Wait, no. Man.
Just randomly give me a sound effect. Like, I like that one. I'll take it.
All right, I give up. I give up.
All right. So the next thing, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to position you so that you're standing facing the audience. And you're going to stand as close to the background as possible. I'm going to bring this over to the side here. And now I'm going to meter by taking a spot meter reading of the background. Right? Yes. That was a Sekonic 308X. Now we're going to use a Sekonic 858D. And so now, again, I have my ISO set, my aperture set. I'm going to point the spot meter. It's only 1 degree. I'm going to point it about right here. And I'm going to take a spot meter reading. And I'm at F35. I'm going to adjust it so I get to F32, just because I can read those stops easier. So now I'm at like 32.2. So when I come to the front of her, I'm going to take another reading. And the front of her is at 1.6. So good news and bad news, right? The meter was metering F32, but when I was spot metering, it was putting that white background here at 18% gray. So now I'm going to take a bad picture just so that you guys understand what I'm talking about. I love these Fuji lenses because they actually go to F32. So I'm going to take a picture of F32 so you guys can see the background is going to go to, and I'm cropping from about chest up. The background's probably going to go to about 18% gray, right? And I have dust on my sensor. Great. So, good news and bad news, right? I know that ultimately I want the background, because it's going to be illuminated, I'm okay if the background ends up 1 stop, 2 stops, 3 stops, 4 stops. Because I know the dynamic range in my camera will handle that. Because now I'm going for a background that's white with detail. The reason I'm going to know it's detail is I'm not going to lose these little baby hairs in the background. So I'm going to go from F32 to 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go to F8 now. And now I'm going to shoot her because I know as I'm thinking about what zone my background ends up in, I'm okay if it ends up one stop past white with detail, right? So I'm one stop past white with this white still has some detail. I'm one stop past that. I know the dynamic range of the camera is going to hold up, and I'm not going to get things to blow out. So I'm going to f8. So imagine if I was metering a mountain and there was a sky and I was metering the sky and I knew where I wanted to place the sky in overall exposure. So now coming into f8, take another picture. I put that background one stop past white with detail. I look at my histogram so you know that I'm not cheating. In my histogram, I'm still safe. I could probably be a touch over, but you still, a lot of my white is still here in the histogram. And so now I'm looking and I'm saying, and when I wanted to protect those hairs, I'm not getting those weird blown away fringing on the hairs. Oops, 1 second. I'm zooming in on the wrong part. And I don't know why. Oh, it's right here. So as I look at the hairs, I still have a lot of detail in all the hair. And I want to get more exposure in the face. And so now, if I meter her face, ooh, you're good. Yeah, I'm good. See, she's checking on me. See, thanks. Someone cares. I'm at 1.6. So from 8, that's 5, 6, 4, 2, 8, 2, 1, 4. I am 5 stops away from her face to good exposure. Not good. So now in my head, I'm thinking, okay, what am I gonna do? I know I could push the camera a little bit further because this is like a creative exposure. So I'm gonna go for 2 more stops on my camera. One of them, I'm at f8 here. So I'm gonna get all of them here. I'm at power 6.2. I'm gonna go to power 8.2. And I'm gonna get 2 more stops on my camera, which I know is now gonna start to give me some more exposure on her face, or 2 more stops on the light, right? And my hope is that I still protect those hairs and they're not falling apart. The background, I don't care about. It's a non-factor here. So now I'm gonna take another exposure. And now I'm starting to get some magic, except the hair is now breaking apart, right? So I went a little too close to the edge, living on the edge. So now I'm going to F11, right? Now this is where I'm eyeballing something because I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to end up. But once I figure this out, I commit it to memory and I go to do this shot and I never have to think about this again. And numerically, I know where it ended up. So I know my background is metering at F32. And if I shoot this shot at F11, which is 1, 2, 3 stops away from there, now I have way more hair coming in, right? But I could probably still stand to get a little bit more, so I'm gonna open up 2/3 of a stop more. This is where you're seeing me test. And now take another photo. And I'm hoping that I still preserve that hair detail. So now I have full detail on the hair. And to get the rest of my exposure, this is where I'm gonna use Seth's Magic Pizza Box.
I'm sorry.
Seth,
I'm sorry. What kind of pizza box?
can I get the Magic
Where's
Seth
the pizza from
New York
geographically?
Pizza Box?
Look at that. Well, you don't need a bucket for your calcium.
You know what? I'm just going to a pizza foam core now. So now I'm gonna use Seth's Magical Pizza Box. I'm only gonna use the white side, right?
You want that silver?
I'm not gonna remeter here because I know I'm just going for more fill light and I know I'm at the exposure in terms of the contrast between her and the background that ultimately puts me in a safe place. And I know this is gonna give me enough fill on the eyes to start to make a picture here. So now I'm gonna take this, have you go all the way back to the backdrop. Perfect. Kind of turn your head towards the pizza box. And first picture with the pizza box. And now I'm getting way more fill. But guess what? We need to act like we're eating the pizza because we're going to eat this exposure up. So what do? We go to the silver side of the pizza box.
It's like the cold side of the pillow.
Yes. And I'm gonna start to direct my model into the light. Sometimes that's just what you have to do to make the picture a little bit more acceptable. Going to what Seth calls the cold side of the pillow. And can you do me a favor? I'm gonna have you hold this side of the pizza box with that hand. And hold it just with that hand, yep. And then I'm gonna hold this side here. And now just think about pizza. Can you guys count me out? What? Oops, sorry, my remote fell asleep. Got another bad frame, 2 bad frames. And
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
beautiful.
If you want a straight board.
And so now we were able to get the light to wrap around a little bit more. I was expecting to actually get more out of it.
Yeah, because it's so specular.
This is where I should have looked. This is where, in order to save myself here, I'm gonna go on a little bit of an angle, like I changed before. So this I don't need, and then I'll just use this. I'm gonna have you turn to the side, just here. Yeah, just turn facing this just a little bit, and turn towards me there. Perfect. I'm gonna actually look this time to make sure that, yes, that's kind of more what I'm going for. Man, you guys, I swear.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Perfect. And now that we're in our little basement, the last look that we're gonna do is by simply adding in a black flag. And so now here, if you step forward just a little bit. And this is Matthew's Road Rag. I love these because it's a black flag that like easily collapses down. I'm gonna change my frame a little bit so that she fits. I'm gonna bring this as close to my background as humanly possible. I'm gonna have you step against it. I'm gonna meter you from this side. I'm kind of using this side because I know I'm gonna get more return from this paper than not, and look towards. And here I'm about f9.0, which is surprising. And in the front, I'm still really dark, so I'm gonna have you just turn your head kind of towards the paper just a little bit. I'm gonna shoot, yeah, towards the paper. Oh, the reason those last ones came out so dark, I actually bumped the lens, and I was at f. Yeah, I did not mean to be there. So in reality, these exposures should have been about a stop brighter, and we would have had more in her face. So I just made a mistake, and that's where I come back and I fix my mistake in post. That's more what I was going for. You're getting like more light in her face, and there you can see that the pizza box ultimately was doing more.
You want to do it more like this?
But we make mistakes. Now this time I'm just gonna show the black kind of wrapping around. But now with this black frame here, turn that way. Again, I'm making a quick background change. Get as close to the background as you can. Actually, you can step out just a little bit, so like rest around, perfect. And you see now we have a completely different look. We have this super soft light. We have the light wrapping around her. I have my exposure back to where it should be. I'm at f8.
3, 4, 5,
Thank you, the one guy counting.
7, 8,
And turn your chest straight towards me. All the way straight, yeah.
9,
Thank you guys for the count. And so now we have this light that's kind of wrapping around her. It's difficult to see from your side, but on my side, I'm gonna add some fill so it plays on the monitor to what I'm saying. You see that little light I get wrapping around on her shadow side? Again, I'm kind of adjusting, for those who are watching online, I'm adjusting for the TV screens.
It's like an edge mask.
So you can kind of see, like Seth said, this is very much like the light you get from like an edge mask. And if I go through the looks that we got today, once I'm gonna make this a little easier on myself. I got 1, 2, 3. That was with a lens change, so maybe that's cheating. One second, there's one here that I like more than. Now I'm just going through, I'm changing kind of what my favorites are. Again, I'm going through. This is me kind of picking my favorites for my clients that I can mail them tonight. When they're like, when are we gonna get the pictures? I'm just like, after I eat some of this New York pizza.
One day we're gonna settle this.
And I'm going through again. Here's where a catch light makes a big difference. Without that catch light, I think this picture would fall apart.
Did you have a reflector for the last set of photos?
The last, no.
He was catching some bounce off that white paper.
Yeah, I was using the white paper to kind of cheat a little bit. And the light was just kind of like wrapping around her. Going through, just picking some quick selects. And now if I go to my library, I can just quickly get to, was that 14?
While he's doing that, you guys can hit subscribe. I know you didn't already, so do it now. You think you're subscribed, you're not. There you go. Good. Thank you.
All right, the screen can't even fit them. If that was 14 looks in about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Using one light shaper, not moving outside of an 8 by 8 foot space. You get here basically like practicing. Like, has anyone here played chess? So there are some people who are naturally good at chess, and you can play them and they're just naturally good. And then once you play with someone who starts to understand patterns, they smoke you. And they have a clock next to them, and they're just tapping, and they're just tapping you out. And they take away all that natural intuition that you have because they have this repetition, they understand patterns, and there's a certain amount of predictability to what they're doing. Hey, On. And so when you're shooting, if you're doing a model portfolio, I just sent her home with 14 different beauty shots to pick from. There's 10 money shots from every single one. Maybe there's 10 photos in there that I throw out. Everything else would be a keeper. And now I can have 5 models come in a day. Knock out all these different looks. And let's say I'm having a slow day, I get to 7 of them.
You done flexing?
And let's say I have a larger studio space, I would set up 4 different sets. My assistants would be behind me, and I would just be moving through. So in 1 hour, if we weren't doing wardrobe changes, if I had 4 sets, I would shoot here, I'd move to the next one, assistants changing the light here. Move to the next one, assistants changing the light there. Move to that one, assistants changing the light here. I'm back here, 10 frames. I could probably get, and if I pre-planned all my looks, I will take notes. I will write down everything ahead of time. I didn't do anything I did today with guesswork. I was in a studio practicing. I taped off an 8 by 8 foot space. I said, what light shaper am I gonna use that I can get a very different amount of looks in? I was gonna use a white background because all of us could find a white wall. I was gonna use this diffusion because you could find a bed sheet if you wanted to, but I just say buy the diffusion. And we can just walk home with money in the bank.
There's a question.
Question in the back. Adam, how you doing?
Go for it. Go.
You came here.
Is there times where you go into a shooting scenario where you just throw the entire plan away?
All the time.
Does that ever make you nervous, or do you feel like it frees you up creatively?
If I'm throwing the plan away, it's because I see something better. And that gets me more excited. Once I'm throwing the plan away, it means that like, I know that it's about to go to a different level. I'm not throwing the plan away without having a better purpose. And if I ever find better purpose, it's money in the bank.
Pretty much asking, would you get more light if you moved the flag off the background, gave it more space to breathe? Would you get more light around?
I get more light as close as I can get the background to this. And then I bring her away so that she's starting to get some light wrapping around. The further I bring her away from this, the more light that's going to wrap around. But there is like a perfect sweet spot, maybe about 1.5 feet in front of it for this size setup that I'm doing right here.
Yeah, for it to act like an edge mask actually is part of the diffusion. So you actually want it as close as possible to the light source.
And what an edge mask is basically they sew a piece of black onto the actual fabric.
It's pretty dope.
And we're missing those 3 more, just so people can see all of them. Is there a way I can get more on the screen? Any other questions? So imagine what happens when I have my favorite light shaper. Like this is like cobbled together. It's like when you take an idea like this and you ask yourself what would make it better, that's when you buy something else that again gets you 1% better, you save 20, 25% more time, and you just move quicker. And it's less stuff to move up. To set this up took 3 elements. If I buy a light shaper where I could do this in 1 element, that's why I would spend the money. It's like a chef with knives. Like you can never have enough. Like when people ask me what camera I shoot with all of them, depending on what the scenario is. Period, point blank. I own Fuji, which is my favorite. I have Canon, I have Sony. The only camera I haven't owned is Nikon. Sorry. But
I don't own Nikon. I own a Nikon. I don't own
I have Mamiya's, I've shot Hasselblad. Like the camera really doesn't matter. For me, the light matters more than anything.
I'm going to throw up your social, right?
Thank you very much. My name's Ab Sesay. That's how we get to these lighting setups. Thank you for coming. And can we give a hand for our beautiful model Dshani here today? Thank you. So today we're going to talk about shooting with hard light. Now, how many people are scared when it comes to shooting with hard light? Or have any fears, intrepidations? None. What are some things that could go wrong when you're shooting with hard light? Yes?
Skin texture.
Yes. So hard light oftentimes shows a lot of texture on skin, which is something people fear. What else can go wrong? Yes? The question that we asked everybody is, what problems can go wrong when it comes to hard light? And one of the things is it can be easier to overexpose. Now, this is a very good comment because basically what happens when you're using hard light is oftentimes your direct reflections inside the skin are going to be brighter than if you're using a softer source, just often because a harder light is brighter in terms of like at the source itself. Oftentimes softer lights are closer, and so they don't have to be as bright to get the same illumination. So you can get higher specular highlights. Or if we want to be scientific, we would call them either like polarized or direct reflections. But we can talk about that later. But the first thing I'm going to do is make shooting with hard light very, very, very attainable for everybody. So I'm going to start with the most bare bones setup that you've ever seen, in which I'm just going to use a light with no reflector, nothing added to it, and we're going to get simple, beautiful light. And today I'm going to use constant light. Oftentimes I use strobes, but I'm using constant light so it's a little easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to be mixing it with all the constant lights that we have here so you guys can see me. But we have enough power, so I think we'll easily be able to get around that and we will see in the photographs. And if not, Seth can work his magic and turn some lights on and off as we're going. So we're going to start with our first lighting setup. And so now we have an extremely hard light source. I'm gonna move over here so that I'm not as blown out as I was when I was over there. And Seth, let me know if we're able to kill these house lights. If not, I think we're okay. I think we've overpowered them quite well. But I want to get directly into taking photographs. And so right now we're using my light to light everything. And it's right here above my computer. And I know approximately here is about 8 feet away from our model. So I'm gonna say I have this light about another 4 feet. So the light's about 12 feet away from our subject. And it's about, I'm gonna say about 8 feet high. So you can do this inside of a relatively small space, and you'll see there's actually benefits to doing it inside of a small space, especially if it's all white. And so first thing I'm gonna do is take a what? Light meter reading. And you know, light meters, I hear a lot of conversation. I feel like there's different types of light meters, right? We have our eyes, which we have to use sometimes. We have the back of our camera. I'm just gonna take a quick light meter measurement of our model. I'm at ISO 800, 5.6 at 1/125th of a second, having this constant light on here. If you want to know what my ambient light was, Seth, I'm just gonna do this for a second, so no need to turn the other lights on. If we looked at what my ambient light was, we're about 2.0. So now I'm gonna go back to my other lights. So there's about a 3-stop difference that I'm gambling with here, because I know with 3 stops, it's not completely canceling out my ambient light, but I know it's pretty much gonna wash it out. If I was 2 stops darker, then I would be virtually at complete black. 3-stop difference, I know that there is gonna be some detail that could get in the way, but overall, the light that I'm using is overpowering everything. We have Cliff Hauser in the house, that's what's up. And so now I'm gonna take my first photograph, and does anybody foresee any problems with this extremely basic lighting setup? And has anybody ever done this themselves? And feel free to chime in online as well as in the house. But this is bare bulb flash, pointed at our subject. I took a light meter reading at 5.6. I'm gonna open up just a little bit because I know that I like for this to be a little bit poppier. And I'm gonna take one photograph just to make sure my lighting is good. And then as we did before, we're gonna build a portfolio of images. I wanna walk away tonight with like at least 100, 150 photos. We have a question?
They're asking what that light is.
I'm using a Nanlite Forza 500, and it is powered to about 75%. So I do have about 1/3 of a stop more I could get out of this light if I wanted to. But we're gonna start with our first picture. I'm gonna make sure I'm at 1/125th of a second as I metered. Why 1/125th of a second? Simply because if our subject moves, I know that I won't have any issues. And I'm gonna open up just a little bit just because most lenses are a little bit darker than what they're rated for. So I'm gonna be about 4 or 5 at 1/125th of a second.
Camera and lens.
I'm using a Fuji GFX 102, and I'm using a 45 to 100 millimeter zoom, which is probably about, what's that, like a 35 to 85, somewhere around there?
45 to 1 what?
45 to 100.
28 to 80.
And like it's about a 28 to 80. So now we're gonna take our first picture of our lovely model, Dshani. So for this first one, somewhat serious, I want you to kind of turn your head towards the light, chin down just a little bit. Beautiful. Looking right into the camera. And let's incorporate some hands into this first shot. Lovely. And we can see our first shot right out of the camera. And we've used hard light to get a wonderful exposure. And now we're gonna play around a little bit because like I said, I wanna build a portfolio of images. So now, can you guys count me out? So every time I shoot, just count down from 10 until we get to 1, because I wanna build 100 money shots by the end of tonight. That's my goal. Beautiful, I'm gonna crop down just right below your elbow. Lovely. And now looking out of camera that way. Beautiful job. Now I'm gonna come in a bit closer, so I'm gonna have you looking directly into the lens. And I'm gonna change my angle just a little bit. I'm gonna come over to your left-hand side.
No one's
And I'm going to have
counting.
you lean back just a little bit more.
No one's counting.
I know. No one's counting. No, I know how to get people to count. I got a secret. I got a secret for everybody who counts. There's going to be a competition. So I thought about this ahead of time. What do I have inside this bag? Oh, she's smiling. She's smiling. Seth, what do I have inside this bag?
No.
Oh,
No.
See, he doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it. I'm having an Oprah moment. I got $50,000. I got $50,000. Yes. You see this? We got $50,000 if people count down. So now can I get you to count down? Look at that. Look at that. We got $50,000. All right?
Don't forget, we're at 42
So I
West
need
18th Street. If you
people-
want to
I
follow
need
him home,
people
go for it.
counting Down. No, I'm going to put it right here. You think they're looking at you? They looking at them. I'm going to drop that right over there. What you don't put my money down. You can't keep people saying. Now people get excited when $50,000 comes out because that's what you're going to get if you count down. All you people not counting down, you're going to get a gel. That's all you're going to get is a gel. So now that we're at 7, can we please count down? All right, this is a $50,000 countdown. You're a little happier now, aren't you? You know what? Here. Put it inside the coat. That's for you. You can tuck it inside the coat. You can just hide. Yeah, don't just throw it in there. Just act. You can hold on to $10,000. Yes. See that? You guys want to know how to get your model to stay in the seat? If she gets up, she's gonna drop the money. Beautiful job.
I would just quit and walk out. You got paid. Get out.
Perfect. And we're gonna go 5 more images. Beautiful. 4, 3, 2. Love the hand position there. Sometimes just let you. Now I don't even pay. I pay you. You got numbers that ain't even coming up yet. Love and give me a perfect profile. All the way to the side. Yes. Beautiful. And so the thing that we get scared about the most with hard light is shadow control. So one of the things I heard someone say was details, and because this gentleman asked the question, guess what? You get $10,000, sir. You get $10,000. There you go. There you go. We're just making people rich today. You don't need to be on Oprah when you can come on to Adorama. Just throwing money around. Just throwing money around. So I'm going to turn my light off right here, Seth, if you want to bring the house lights back up. And we got Chupo in the back of the room. Chupo just came back from Burning Man. So if you want to hear interesting stories about someone who just found, I'm not going to mention any religious names, but let's say someone's name starts with a J, and feel like they've been reborn, you could probably talk to Chupo. Because you guys know how it is when you get those friends who come back from Burning Man, and they say, you would not believe. You would not believe. And you know what, Chupo? You probably need 10 grand just to get home, so I'm sure you burnt all your money up at Burning Man. There's $10,000 for you. Okay. So where people go wrong with hard light is when it comes to positioning. Don't get carried away. So when most people start shooting with hard light, they do this. And then they want to ask why they don't like it, right? The positioning of hard light changes everything. So for this is what some photo nerds would call split lighting. So I'm just going to light half of her face. So can you do me a favor and just look straight at me? So now I've basically just lit half of her face. And this can result in images. I almost don't want to take a bad picture. So this one, you only have to count out 1. So I'm only going to take 1 bad photo. No, you can leave them on for this one because it's going to be very, very bright. It's so close. And so I'm at F13 there. I'm going to shoot about F11 just to open up a little bit. And what do I do with my camera? So F11. And by the way, this is a 120 watt light. And I believe it's at about 100%. And if you ask our model, she'd probably say even that's like a bit bright. Would you say that's a bit bright? Yeah.
Fine.
And so one of the things you want to watch out when shooting with continuous lights is, I know back when I used to do interviews, anytime we light someone, if we were at ISO 800, anytime the light would go above f4 at a normal frame rate of 24 frames per second, it would start to get like a little straining. And so when you're lighting with continuous lights, one of the benefits of using strobes is you can use more power while having less fatigue. And so that's one reason where for photography, sometimes, although constant lights are doable, you may want to use a strobe, especially if you have someone in front of a bright light all day. Like, could you take this all day? Probably not. Could you take it for $10,000? Not even for $10,000. All right, looking right into the camera.
This is a new photo nerd game show. Like, how much light can you take?
And so now we're going to start with someone who's very photogenic, very easy to photograph, and photographing them with split lighting, you see that the light is very, very harsh. And this is a bicolor light, and I probably have a little bit of color dialed in, but for speed, and I only said that for anyone who has any questions, I'm gonna make the quick adjustment inside of Capture One.
For you guys in the chat, the links to the lights are in there. So this is the 120B, the link that just got.
And now watch what happens when we simply change the position of this light from the side, in which is very unflattering. And I'm gonna bring it to the front, and I'm gonna try to bring it somewhat to a similar distance so that we're not cheating. And I'm gonna raise it up so it's not as much in her face, because you can see she kind of doesn't like that. So I'm gonna have you look directly under the light. And yes, I had the light at 3,600 Kelvin. I should have checked that. That's my first mistake of the evening, but it wasn't a $10,000 mistake, so don't get carried away. And now I'm gonna bring the light directly overhead. I'm gonna meter it again. Is that okay? I have another question.
Yeah, someone's asking what film simulation are you using on the GFX?
Anytime I shoot with the GFX, I use Astia. Why do I use Astia? Because that's what I shot when I shot film. And so it's just the one that I feel like is the most natural.
I like the new Reala.
And Seth likes the new Reala. Here, I'm just changing my white balance back since I changed this to 5600. I metered to F9. I'm gonna open up just a little bit. And now I'm gonna have you look directly into the camera. Now I'm gonna get this directly overhead. And if you're looking directly at me, chin down just a little bit. You can angle your head to the left just a little bit so I get a little bit of cheekbone. Great job. And a little bit more sizzle in the eyes. Beautiful job. And now, simply by moving the position of our light, and I will go back and make that little color adjustment to that one. And I'll open it up a little bit to about there, just so it feels a little bit similar. Ooh, I didn't have both of them selected. To do a quick comparison. But now you can see just by simply changing the position of our light, we have a completely different picture where we're still showing a lot of texture, but now we're showing much less. And we have a much more flattering image. And so when you're shooting with hard light, the one piece of advice I would give anyone is start with the position of the light. If you're lighting somebody with side lit, you're gonna get very deep shadows, which oftentimes people won't find nearly as flattering. But if you light them directly from the front, or let's say 45 degrees one way or 45 degrees another way, what you're gonna run into is you're gonna have a much more flattering shot, even though we're dealing with hard light. And I would say this one, because one second, I'm gonna turn this down really quick. But do you guys see the size of the light source, how small it is? So I would say this falls into the category of like an extremely hard light. And so this is, a source like this, being that it's so small when you're using it up close, it will start to mimic the qualities of sunlight very, very much more closely than something that was, let's say, a lot bigger. Because the larger your light source gets relative to the size of your subject, what happens? Man, I need real money for this crowd. Yes, it gets softer. What's in the real money pocket? Maybe that'll help. Okay. What you got for me, though? All right, so now we're going to knock down a few more pictures this way. Except I'm going to bring my light a little bit lower. And I'm going to dim it. Does anyone know how to dim hot lights by one stop? I'll just turn that out of your face really quick. It's like a $10,000 question. If I have this on power 100 and I want to take one stop out of it, what do I do?
90. Bring it to 90.
50.
50, right.
Yes, most continuous lights these days work linearly, and every time you take half the power out, you will reduce the light by about a stop. I do wish somebody would put a function in that worked based on f-stops, but now I just reduced the light by 50%, and you can see that was a one-stop difference. So there to there is one stop. And I did that to be a little bit kinder on our subject's eyes. I'm going to come over, I'm just going to remeter. I'm pretty much the same because I brought the light closer. And can we count this time, please? I want to bring you closer to the backdrop. You can just move the chair back a little bit more, and you won't run into anything. It's only Seth's backdrop. He doesn't mind. That's good.
It's already wrecked thanks to Cliff and Dan and everyone else that shoots.
And Truple. Truple's messed up the papers sometimes as well. Perfect. And Seth, if you don't mind killing the lights for me. And these lights weren't adding that much, so I'm not going to remeter. I'm just going to open up just a touch. And now, again, we're going to go for like 10 photos. And these are going to be more portraits, so I'm going to come down just like a little bit lower on these. Actually, I'm going to crop just right below the glasses. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
8.
Thank you. And give me something even with like the eyes closed and head back. You know, I'm coming like a little tighter.
7. 6.
Perfect. I'm becoming a little tighter. I love this. Kind of like a beauty shot.
5. 4.
I know you guys need to see the flash going off. And give me like a perfect profile. Love.
3. 2.
And we'll incorporate a hand into it for the last one. A hand, like up and by the face. Yes. Beautiful job. And I love it with the eyes closed. I actually look up past the light. Love that. Beautiful.
1.
Beautiful. And so another thing that I like for people to do when you're taking pictures is take your time. If you're taking 100 pictures to get 10, just focus on taking 10 good photos. If you find yourself, you're getting at home and you're editing down from a bunch of different pictures, start shooting less, directing more. One of the things you can do is sometimes we take pictures to communicate, right? So if we don't know what to say to our subject, we'll take another photo. We'll take another photo. We'll be a little bit nervous, we'll take another photo. We'll be working through trying to get the exposure right, we'll take another photo. Explain to your subject what you're doing. So if I'm here and I'm not happy with something, I'll say, Dshani, you know what? If you can look towards me, I'm just trying to like balance out the shadow under your chin. So I like it when you put your chin up like that, but I really like it when your jawline shows. So I like the way your head is currently like turned. I really like that. And so kind of like looking up at the screen as if you were looking at yourself, because you are looking at yourself. Perfect. and so be very deliberate in terms of what you do. And now looking at me and kind of like both hands kind of under your face like so.
Both hands?
Yes. And kind of a little asymmetrical. Bring one up just a little bit higher. Love that. And I know you want to look at yourself, but yes, eyes closed. I like that little smile, just a little smile. Beautiful. Be very deliberate with every photograph that you take. There's no reason to take bad pictures. And the one thing you guys messed up during this presentation is I wanted someone to say that they were very scared when it came to shooting with hard light. But so far, can everybody digest everything that we've done here? Nothing here has been fancy, right? I haven't even put a light shaper on this light yet. I'm using it just completely bare bold. Another cool thing about hard light is that you can use it to become like very moody, right? Again, right now we're just working with positioning. I'm not changing anything but the position of this light. And it doesn't get any more simple than this. No one can complain that I'm using expensive pro photo lights. Even though they Pro Photo is my light of choice. But for this one, I said, you know what? I'm going to keep it very easy.
You know what? You're right. I think you've converted me. I think I'm going to stop shooting with these expensive lights and just go all in on.
And so now Cliff is threatening people's lives.
Love you,
So now
Cliff.
we want something that's very, very dramatic, right? And the thing we want to do here is just make sure our direction plays into this. So on this one, I want you to kind of act very afraid, right? You're like standing under a streetlight. Your Uber driver just pulled up, and you said you're not getting in the car with that Uber driver. And so you're lying about who you are now because you don't want him to get upset with you, but you know he pulled up looking like Seth, and and he had way too many tattoos, and you're just like, you know what? This is not gonna work.
What's too
Right?
many? What's a quote of too many tattoos?
And so right now I'm in like around F14. And so for this one, I want you kind of like looking down, you're kind of scared. You don't know if you're actually gonna make it home tonight.
It's that Uber driver from Craigslist.
You're telling yourself, I want my parents to ask the question, do you know where your children are? So they could come save me.
Just activate Find My iPhone and just take the right. Take the right.
And so now you're kind of like looking down. I kind of want your cheekbone so it faces the light. So if you kind of tilt your head up like this towards the light, yes. And you're kind of like looking down in a way somewhat disheveled. And maybe you're kind of like holding yourself like you're cold outside and it's raining. Yes, and I like the little shivering. Beautiful job. You're actually trying not to laugh. But you're looking kind of down. Again, just think about Seth and you're
You know what?
All right.
You know what, Ab?
All right.
Live on the
No.
19th. I'm gonna remember every.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And you know, you're imagining your face on a milk carton. And
What is this? The 80s? What is?
and so now what we're doing is we're playing into the light, right? We've changed the position. We're kind of playing into what's going on. I still position her face so that we get something that's somewhat flattering. And the thing is, photographers, that we forget the most is some people won't leave this line. The other thing you have to do is you have to move around a little bit. So now I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to have you do the same pose. And I'm going to have you bring your nose towards me a little bit more, but your chin still the other direction that it was originally. Perfect. And then slowly turn your chest towards me so I see a little bit more of the front of your face. Perfect. And now just bring your eyes towards me. Into the camera. Perfect. Beautiful. And so now by changing my position, we have a completely different photograph. This was position number 1. This was position number 2. I didn't change anything but my own position. Oftentimes I feel as if though when we're shooting, we're not thinking about what the end result is that we want. And so now, as she's kind of waiting on this street corner, you get more of this idea of like there's something moody and dramatic going on behind her, and we're starting to leave the studio just a little bit. Just a little bit. Like we're not really chasing something completely out of ordinary here, but the thing I want to focus on here is your position relative to the model in the light can change everything. And it's something you have to be very, very, very cognizant of. And so now I want to get into some fun light shapers that we can use when we start to explore hard light. And so we have the option of either working with a Fresnel or a spotlight next. What's your choice? But first, let's get some portfolio images out of this. Give me like 10 poses, all of them in this kind of like scary, moody love.
10.
Thank you. 9.
To go after everyone. 8
8.
ah.
And now give me some different hand positions, almost like you're a little scared or apprehensive. Yes, like you're kind of holding your chain because you're trying to hide it because you don't want Seth to come steal it. He's walking down the street with a pizza box and you're scared that he may come jack you.
Nothing more frightening than a pizza box.
I like that, looking away. Beautiful job. And I accidentally bumped my aperture a little bit, so now I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna open up just a little bit. 7. Yes, that was a shot as the Seth just pulled away and you knew that you were gonna get home safe. So I love that one. Perfect. That was your hugging your groceries because you know you're gonna have a meal tonight. And I like that face completely down in shadow. Beautiful. And I love the gesture there. 3. And for this next one, give me that same pose except looking right into the camera. And last one. Now this one, you're kind of fixing your collar, like you know like that you've gotten away. And your chin is up, your forehead's up a little higher, and you're kind of like looking off, seeing his taillights. And you're kind of telling yourself like, yeah, I got away from you, sucker. Love it. All right, so now we're gonna work with, do you guys wanna work with a spotlight next or a Fresnel?
No.
Wow, we're gonna get to both. Why do you guys wanna work with a Fresnel?
I've never seen one in use. Seen one but never used. I've never seen
See, how easy was that? So, this is a Fresnel lens.
Even the chat wants it for now.
Even the chat wants a Fresnel. Wow. Everybody wants a Fresnel. So this is a Fresnel. And we're going to have a little bit of fun using this because I think that this is an unbelievably hard light shaper to use. The reason I call it a Fresnel lens is because it kind of comes from like the construction of like a lighthouse in which they kind of like really want to focus light. I love it because it homogenizes light a little bit more than a normal reflector. Does anybody not know what I mean by that? You guys aren't saying anything. What do I mean by that? Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So what most manufacturers don't tell you about their reflectors is you look inside this reflector, oftentimes hard reflectors create 2 light sources, right? You have the light source created by the reflector, and then you have the light source created there. What does this do? It creates 2 shadows, right? But oftentimes you don't see them, especially if your subject's not very close to the background. So one of the reasons I was using this bare bulb is because personally, I think it looks a little bit better than when you put a reflector on it. So let's watch what happens when I take this light, I bring it all the way back, and now watch what happens when I take this photograph. And by the way, this happens with most manufacturers' hard reflectors. And it's one of the reasons, depending on what you're doing, you may want to use it for now. So I have heard about F10. The important thing here is going to be to look at the shadows. When we talk about using hard light, oftentimes we want to look like sunlight or natural light. The quality of the shadows is a huge giveaway in terms of what type of light you use. So now I'm going to take her photograph. Beautiful job. And when I zoom in on these shadows, what do you see?
You guys are mad quiet. It's like uneasy.
Does everybody see the double shadows that we have there? That's because if I show you this reflector, and this isn't something just with Nanlite, this pretty much happens with every reflector from every brand, even very expensive ones. Do you see that there's like a ring and then you see the light in the middle? That ring you see in there is another light source. So this has now just become 2 light sources, and you see this double shadow that you're getting there is a clear giveaway that this is like a studio light, right? If you're really, really, really picky, this is where you would want to use a Fresnel, where you still want something that's focused, that's controlled, but you actually start to get cleaner shadows. So now we're going to switch over to the Fresnel light. Dun, dun, dun. That wasn't clap worthy. Seth is right.
Hold on.
What got into this?
All right,
crowd?
listen, he's not shooting another frame in here until everybody screams at once. I'm not letting this go on anymore.
No,
On the count of
you don't
3,
have-
everybody
You
scream.
don't have to bully them.
On the count of 3, everybody screams at once, or I'm just shutting the stream down. 1,
no,
2,
no.
3, scream.
Yay!
One more. It's Ab, dude. Ab's here like once a year. 1, 2, 3, scream. You feel better? You can talk now. This is New York. It's your house. Let's play around a little bit. Thank you.
You know what, Seth?
Oh, look, the chat's screaming too, if that's what you call screaming. In
Yeah.
AOL 1998, sure.
I know you like fake blood, but I guess
You know what? I'll use this on my demo when I get back.
you thought you weren't giving that back.
This is actually this is good.
No, this is like real prop money. So you know why? You know why you should keep prop money in your house? If people break in, you put the prop money in a place that's very easy to find, and they think they just scored, right? You get in someone's house, you find 50,000, you leave, right? So it's designed to get your burglars out faster. But now we're gonna move to our Fresnel, right?
It's actually pretty good, except
Yeah.
for the band here.
You know what? Don't start critiquing the fake money. All right. I'm going to come over. I'm going to take another light meter reading. We barely lost anything there.
Somebody killed him? I think so, right?
Just a touch.
I'll just kill him. You want another reading?
No, I'm just going to continue with what I had. Perfect. I'm going to take another photograph. And now we're going to compare these two images. I know you like that, don't you?
I mean, it's pretty. It's,
Now you're happy. Teresa, this is what it took.
I'll use it for a prop for my demo.
If we spill some blood on that, like, he'd be as happy as they come.
There will be blood in my next demo.
And so now the thing I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take off the Fresnel lens, right? Don't worry, Seth, you're not going to have to go back there and get it and hurt yourself again. It only fell. No, it didn't go all the way back. It didn't go all the way back. So I'm going to take another light meter reading. So now we're at 5.6, so we did lose a substantial amount of light. Do I have any that I could turn that up? I'm already at 100, so no, but I think I'll still be okay. Yeah, it would be good. Now I'm going to take one more photograph looking right at me. Beautiful job. All right, and now we're going to look at shadows. And so we can see that there's what happened is on this one, there's a lot more light bouncing around, so it's filling in the shadow. Using the Fresnel, we were able to get a sharper shadow that also has more shadow contrast. Shadow contrast is one of the things we're going to get into next, because we've talked about changing the position in everything of our lights, but one of the things that we also want to do at some point is talk about how we utilize the environment to make a hard light less hard. But before we do that, we're going to shoot a little bit more with the Fresnel. Yes, sir?
Is it possible you could see the detail on the face with these three?
Oh, absolutely.
Repeat it.
Repeat what?
Repeat what he said.
Oh, we were just asked, is it possible to see like the different details on the face given the different reflectors that were used? So between the Fresnel, the bare bulb, and the normal reflector, you see we still pretty much have the same amount of specularity. And when we get down to the regular reflector, I mean the bare bulb, you can see with these two shadows, we do have some ambient light from the room creeping in. This is again where we would want, what I thought was just light bouncing around too is also just some ambient light, probably from this light up here, is starting to bleed in just a little bit. So you can take back what I said earlier in terms of it just light bouncing around the room and doing that. It was actually having a second light in the space doing that. So the reflectors you use when you want to use hard light, I think are very, very important. And we're going to do a few more using the Fresnel, and I'm going to talk about why Fresnels are some of my favorite light shapers. Everybody should go out and get a Fresnel lens because now they're basically cost to be very, very easy to use. You know, the one thing you do want to do is on a light source that's this small, I wouldn't want to use a Fresnel lens bigger than this. Ideally, a Fresnel lens can really fill this entire lens. So you do want to get one somewhat matched to the light that you're buying. You don't just want to mix and match any random Fresnel lens. I've used a larger Nanlite Fresnel lens like this on strobes and had really good luck with that. But now we're gonna get a little dramatic. I should turn this off first before I put this on, so I stop blinding myself. And you guys walk away with all my money. Okay, so now I'm gonna move this out. And for those that haven't noticed, one of my favorite little pieces of kit is this little Kupo arm here. Seth, we'll get the link after this, but I love this because it just allows me to easily boom a light over without having to adjust the arm. And I had a sandbag around here somewhere. I'll put that on there to be a little bit safer. But I consider this arm to be somewhat dummy proof, meaning I know I can just zoom it in and out without having to adjust and counterweight things. And I wouldn't use it with a light that's too heavy. And to make your life easier, I'm just gonna ask you to pull your chair forward about 4 feet. 4 feet is about right to where that black thing is. Right there is good. Perfect. And to make my life a little easier, if you can move over to your right just a touch. And sometimes when directing a model, I like to give them the right based on their position, but I find hand gestures always work the best because sometimes people are trying to go left or right. Or if you work with a lot of people where English isn't their first language and you're like left or right, I find that they're like, all right, I got you. So now, the other thing I really love about using a Fresnel lens is the use of barn doors. And because it's a hard light source, I can cut it this close. If this was a very large light source and I tried to cut the light by having something this close to it, it would almost have zero effect. But in terms of what this does to our shot, to make things a little bit more dramatic, I think is huge. So we're gonna start with some before and after. I'm gonna start with the Fresnel the way it is now, where everything is open.
Is that that?
Yes. He is fast. Everybody give a hand to Seth, because if not, he's gonna try to keep more of my prop money.
I don't need your pity claps.
You guys keep clapping like that, he's shutting down the stream. I'm letting you guys know that right now. So I was at F13. I'm gonna go in a little hot. I'm gonna cut. Yes, please, thank you. I'll take another meter reading, although I know it won't matter that much. We're pretty much in the same spot. And so now we're gonna see what happens. And to give you a little bit better before and after, for here, I'm gonna use a tripod. Again, so I can be as illustrative as possible. I almost never use tripods, but I find for teaching purposes, using a tripod can be very helpful because then the before and after is a little bit more purposeful. And so here, we're gonna take this first image and we're not gonna use the barn doors at all. And so looking right into the camera, lean forward just a little bit. Perfect. And so we have our first image. We have a beautiful exposure on her. Give me the same things. Give me kind of arms on the shoulders. I mean, on your hip.
Nope.
Yes. Perfect. So kind of widen the shot up just a little bit. Perfect. And chin up. Yes. Beautiful. Love that. Again, I'm working towards my 100 images here. Perfect. And so now I'm going to play around a little bit and just use our barn doors. Right? I'll probably cut some light, so I'm going to remeter a bit. And I see I lost some light, so I'm going to open up. I was at F13 before, I just went down to F9. And so now looking right at me. Perfect. I like your head where it is, positioned right in the middle. And now you see the results that we're using the barn doors. We've completely cut out all this outside light. Now, Seth, can you do me a favor? Could you pump the blue all the way up? If not, then don't worry about it.
These blue, or you want the tubes?
The tube's blue.
Tubes. You're not gonna get that much as the blue.
No, it pumps. That's about all we get.
Yeah, but I can get these blue.
No. This is a lighting problem that we'll work around. So no. Keep it. I like this.
Well, I'm gonna kill that one so it doesn't kill it to the blue.
Cool. I like this challenge. So here, I see she's now at about F9. And I see here on this blue in the background, we're at 1.3. And that's just too far apart. So if let's say we're at 1.4, we get to 2.0, and we get to 2.8, and we get like about a 3-stop difference. So I can just take this light here, which is now at 100. I'm gonna go to about 25%. I'm gonna remeter. I'm at 4 or 5. I still want to cut about another stop out of that. So I'm going to go to 12%. I'm going to remeter. I'm at 2.8. And I'm going to get you looking right into the camera. I'm going to go to f4. And I'm going to go to a 60th of a second because I can't get 2.8 on this lens. And I'm going to have you look right into my camera. And so people ask, why do I use a light meter? That's why. In order to get from here to Seth turning on his lights and get to here, I did it in one move. Instead of guessing my way to match what the ambient lights in the background were.
And yet they don't clap. I don't know. They don't care.
'Cause they're mesmerized. And so now I'm working with some of the lights that I have here available, and we're going to take a few portfolio pictures. Are you ready? I would ask Seth to give me red, but I don't want to get carried away.
It's not gonna be that sad.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
You won't put.
No, I'll keep these blue. It's fine. We'll knock this out. Perfect. And now we'll give me some images. Love. Thank you. Nah, and give me a little head turn, like looking out that way. And give me the perfect profile. Turn all the way to the side, but still kind of have your head in the light. Yes, perfect. Love. Thank you. I'm going to come in just a little bit tighter. Beautiful job. And we'll incorporate some hands again.
You guys are killing me.
Love. I'm gonna just give it a little bit of a turn. I'm gonna go like to there, right? And now looking at me again. Watch what happens here. At least give a ooh, because that's a ooh, right? We get that little turn coming across, right? Love that. Beautiful. 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 So that's why I use a light meter. Oh, go ahead.
Could you get this same effect with the spotlight?
Could I get the same effect with the spotlight? Let's throw the spotlight on there. Look at that. See, that's what I'm talking about for a good question. So let's take this off, right? Let's throw on the spotlight. So the answer is yes. I like the way that the Fresnel falls off. Spotlights, I think, are great. Sometimes we do run into having some artifacts. Like artifacts meaning like some things are like a little unnatural. This one has very few, if any. And so now I'm going to, I can't rotate it, but I can use these blades to kind of simulate that line that we had. Go there. I'm going to go there. Now with the spotlight, I'm going to defocus it to about there. And I'm going to have to raise this up a touch to about there. So to answer your question, I would say that due to the fact I can't easily just rotate it, I'm not getting there nearly as quickly. And actually, I should remount the spotlight so that the center of gravity is a little different. And I'll tilt that down to about there. And I'll remeter. And again, you're seeing me do this real time, trying to replicate it as much as I can. And I would say, so far, I'm failing miserably, but we're gonna get close. And I would say there's pretty close.
The
I'll
chat
get a little bit more light.
The chat's asking, what do you mean by artifacting?
Artifacts will be if like the fall off isn't perfectly smooth, if sometimes the edges you can run into like chromatic aberration, which I'm not really seeing here. but we'll take a light meter reading. So I'm just trying to get that to 2.8, and we're at 6.3. So the spotlight did give us substantially more power, and I'm at power 12. So now I'm going down to, this is 3% on this spotlight. And I'm at 3.2. So now on the spotlight, I'm at 2%. So this is only 2%. And I'm at 2.5. So I'm gonna go to 3. I'd rather be, excuse me, a little bit brighter than a little bit under and looking right at me. And I'm gonna tilt this up just a little bit so I match the frame. And that's how I would get there if I was using a spotlight. So it's similar, but not the same. Yes.
Now it's also cheaper, right?
Why does that matter? It actually depends. It depends.
A friend of mine just purchased a spotlight, and I was trying to figure out which one I would play around with.
I would say, I get the question a lot, what is like your favorite light shape or what's your, for what? For me, it all depends on what my goal is, what shadow quality I'm going for. I mean, as much as I talked about shadow quality, did I drop it? The huge benefit to using this is power. If I'm outside, this is gonna be my go-to. So I think there's a different tool depending on what you're looking to do. I think you have to find the one that fits your workflow better. Sometimes I may pack the Fresnel because it's just smaller and I know I want to use this defocused anyway. If I want to get so a big difference is if I want to get, Seth, if you can kill the lights for me again really quick. If I want to get, sorry, I should have waited. That's my fault. Look at that. She caught the frame still. But if I want to get a sharp line like that, then I'm gonna go with the spotlight. A Fresnel's not gonna give me that type of cut. Any other questions? Yes.
Would you change how you approach it depending on the facial shape of your subject?
That's a really good question. And the question that we just had is, would I change what I'm doing depending on the facial shape of the person? And when I work with people, I'm not one of those people who could put out a posing guide or have certain rules. It's like what you need to do. I just work very intuitively. I try to really focus on the person's perceived strengths and weaknesses, because depending on what I want to show, the strength could be something, I may want to show all this texture and lines and the person may not want that. So I look at what they want and then I would choose a light shaper based upon that. I think that the lost art in photography is decision making. And you should approach every picture knowing exactly what you want, or you should have a process that gets you there. But I feel as if though you always have to make a decision every step of the way.
Thank you.
No problem. You are very welcome. I feel like that's what makes us different than computers, Ooh, 1 second, I'm taking the spotlight off. I also like working with hot lights because you can just play with them while they're still turned on and you don't break them. Even though I'm about to break something here. Why are you always laughing at me? Like, she's always laughing. You see that? Give somebody $10,000 and they laugh at you. The funny part of this is one day I am going to give someone $10,000. They're like, man, that's fake. I don't want it. And then it's going to be like a real $10,000. Now all you guys are thinking like, you know what? I always got to act like it's real. Because one of those stacks could be real. Now everybody's thinking like, man, what if he put a real stack up in there? I'm going to Sizzler.
I don't know where to start with that one.
Yeah. You can't have your New York pizza argument once we start talking about Sizzler. They ain't got no Sizzler in New York. You gotta go to the Midwest.
It's a good reason.
All right, so now we're going to kill the blue lights and we're gonna go back to just using our normal everyday hard lights. And so next, what I'm gonna go over is how to use our environment. I'm gonna turn this bad boy on. And it makes a huge difference when we're using hard light, meaning whether you decide to paint your walls white, whether you decide to paint your walls black, it makes a huge difference. Or have someone just change your light when you don't even know it's there. That was called the Seth control.
You're not shooting yet, so how about we not melt out my sensors here?
Oh, you know, get the new red algorithm or whatever in those Nikons, and we wouldn't have this issue. I only can be shot raw. So you take this little H.264 and go somewhere with it. How you feel
Oh
about
man,
that?
we're losing connection on the stream. I don't know what's happening. Oh, your mic's going in and out. What's happening here, Ab? I
So
don't know.
now what I'm gonna do,
Uh,
let me get this money away. Look at that. People just dropping stacks all over the place.
You're dropping something.
Telling you, it's my packaging material.
Oh,
And so now what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna, not awkwardly, if I can have you stand up really quick, Dshani, I'm gonna move this, and I just wanna make sure that I don't make a move where, excellent. You can just stand right over in the corner.
That's fine.
No, it's fine. Or you could stand by Seth, you just may not come back. So I'm gonna take this
I
V
was
flat.
fully rehabilitated. I'm no longer considered dangerous. Thank you.
And I'm gonna put this in the corner here. And I'm gonna take two photos, one on the white side and another one on the black side. And we'll be able to see the difference because now we're using our environment to mitigate some of the problems that we have with hard light. One of them being called shadow contrast. Shadow contrast is basically how dark that hand shadow is compared to like the highlight. Sometimes by lessening that, we can make a light look less hard. So we're gonna take one picture using the white side, and then we're gonna take the other picture using the black side, which some people call negative fill, and you're gonna see the huge difference between the two. So if I can have you come, and you're gonna basically try to stand as close to this, you could even put like a hand up here, and just kind of be like kind of close to this wall.
Don't put weight on it. Don't.
Just don't, with you it won't fall, don't worry. Yeah. So I'm gonna move this, I'm just gonna swing that out of the way so we don't get a shadow. I'm gonna move this light stand out of the way. I'm gonna put our camera in a place where it doesn't move. About right. Actually, I wanna put it over here. I'm gonna widen up just a little bit. And the thing I want everyone to look at here is going to be the shadow side of her face. I like that kind of looking towards the actual white background. Yes, that's beautiful. You can remember this pose when I move everything around. That would be amazing. I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna get a quick light meter measurement. I'm at 2.5 because I'm gonna turn my light down.
What do you want?
Oh, thank you. If I can get back to 5, go to, can you go to a little bit more? Perfect, right there. Happy, little happy.
Stops of light by percentage. You see that?
So now I'm gonna go in about F4, perfect. And you're gonna look towards the wall. Let me adjust my exposure back to 125 before someone calls it out. Take a photograph. Again, we're not guessing. So now you see that picture, right? Again, I'm using this, I've been bare bowl pretty much all of today. Now, if you can step back out, I'm just gonna turn this around. Do this as gracefully as humanly possible.
While he's making an annoying noise with that foam core, you guys can hit like. It's only half of you done that so far. Ab feeds his family with likes. He needs a validation.
No, I feed my
Smash like.
family with counterfeit bills. That's what I do. And I'll have you step back in.
And don't forget to hit subscribe. Every demo out of this stream space happens on this channel. Hit subscribe.
You simply have to move states every 30 days and they can't catch you. I love that. I'm gonna have you back up just a little bit. And I'm gonna bring your left arm up, kind of holding the jacket closed. Love that. Come forward just a touch. Right there is good. I wish his V-flat wasn't so worn out. I've never seen the black side turn into an actual reflector.
Wish your routine wasn't.
But
Wish your routine wasn't so worn out.
cool. And now we can we'll kill all the lights really quick, right? And now we're gonna go side by side. And now,
That V-flat survived the line.
if you look at these two images, simply by changing the background, the shot on the right-hand side looks like it's very, very hard light, but the shot on the left-hand side looks as if it's very soft, because the only thing we did here is we reduced the overall shadow contrast. So here, there's a lot of contrast between the shadow on this side of her face and this part of her face. And here you can still see the eyelash here. There's still a huge amount of contrast here, the same as what we did here, but overall, we reduced the shadow contrast. How you would do this normally, you would introduce a fill light. So if you're using a very hard light because you want to get all this beautiful detail and specularity in the skin, but you want the light to feel softer, just use your environment in order to get your light to be softer. Let it bounce around. So now, let's take some photos in this light. Oh, I turned it all the way off.
Oh, yeah, you powered it down.
I'm gonna turn this light back on. And we're gonna get back to our portfolio pictures. So you see my crop, give me like 10 frames, they're all on you. Maybe they'll count, maybe they won't. I don't know. But I've learned no matter what, never talk trash about the audience. Take it all out on Seth.
You guys can leave comments though for Ab on this live stream
So now-
all you want.
So now give me 10 shots. Give me some looking at the board, some looking back at the light. And I like when the hands kind of stay up in the frame. Thank you. I'm even shooting horizontal for them on chat. Let me give them a full image here.
You're at 1 hour.
Cool. And then after this, we'll take questions. After I get 10 photos on this side. You guys don't even have to count anymore. I'm over it.
They can't count.
Perfect. And bring both kind of hands up here. Yes, perfect. And looking back over your shoulder. Let me just go to full screen here. Don't mind the tape showing in the crack of Seth's V-flat. Beautiful.
That is a 15-year-old V-flat from the original event space, guys.
Stop making excuses.
I think it's a
And now you
miracle
can
it
even turn
survived.
into the light just a little bit.
It's an artifact.
3 more. Yes, perfect. 1, 2.
It'll get there.
Perfect. Now we're gonna switch back to the white side, just so we get some pictures there. No. No, this is the Seth World V flat. It comes with patina.
I just want to say I inherited this battle damage thing from Daniel Norton. So
And now we're gonna shoot some on the white side. Again, this is just all bare bulb. Now shooting kind of with our model positioned near a white wall. Perfect. Come a little closer to the wall. And come a little bit forward for me. Perfect. I'm gonna change my camera position to about here, so I pick up a little bit more of the shadow. Sorry that I have my back turned towards you, but you'll see the results, which you won't comment on, but I'm gotten used to that. Perfect. Perfect. And looking back towards the light. Love. Now I'm gonna take the camera off the tripod and get a few more crops because I hate staying inside the same place. I'll be giving this tripod away to the next person who, yeah, you guys are done with that one. You thought you were getting something. Beautiful. And I'm gonna get a little tighter. Yeah, they thought they were getting a free tripod.
no, there's no fake blood on the V-flat, I promise.
Beautiful job. And I love that. Almost like the sun is just hitting you and you're on an island in a trench coat. I don't know where that works, but it's some island it works. Whatever island Seth goes to and Skinny dips in. It was a bad joke, but it didn't even
Look at
hit.
you anymore.
It didn't even hit. So we could turn the lights back on. Are there any questions about hard light? Or was that just too easy that there can't be any questions? Yes.
That Fresnel looks
If you bought, Nanlite makes one that's a size up. And if you buy the glow adapter, you can use the glow adapter and you can put it on a strobe. I do it all the time. Yeah. So I would say if you're going to put one on a strobe, when I went to the 10-inch version, I felt like it didn't fill it well enough unless you use a strobe that was like completely bare bulb. But an 8-inch version I tested and I had good results with that.
Would you, if you wanted to remove the shadow from the background and keep the hard light on the subject, would you just use a filter?
Nope, I would pull her away from the background. And what I would do is I would cast the shadow away from her so that it fell off to the side. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Because as you know, there are levels to this. That's what I'm talking about. I had
Any idea how long you practiced that?
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. And everybody can give me my money back. I need to use this again. It took like 21 days to get that delivery.
All right. Thanks, Ab. We appreciate you. You can check out his series, Level Up with Ab Sesay on Adorama TV. This is the live events channel. Please hit subscribe for more live demos, including my own. I'm not even on camera, but whatever. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and Ab will be in those comments. Trust me, that's all he does is live in the comments.
Live in them. So even talk trash. I love it.
All right. Thanks, Ab. Take care.
Thank
Clap
you.
for Ab, guys.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I appreciate all of you guys showing up today because what we're going to talk about is portrait patterns. Is anyone here familiar with what portrait patterns are? Me either, right? So we'll all learn something here today. Basically what portrait patterns are is like the relationship of your main light to your subject's face. And it's a great way to communicate ultimately like where you want a light positioned relative to someone's face. Do I think some of them should go away? Absolutely. At the end of this, we'll talk about the portrait patterns that should absolutely go away. And I have to think if I have all of them memorized. So I also want to shoot, like I think that I kind of want to create like a portfolio. Would you like to walk away with some images? You just want to walk away, right? That's it. But I do want to give a hand to our wonderful model, Dshani's here. And she's expecting, so one more hand for the baby. So we may turn this into like a little mini maternity shoot too, because we have a mini studio. If you want to, I couldn't help it. You can't say anything. I'm live.
My fault.
now.
Ab can't work in small
Nice
studios. It's
to
not my fault. My fault.
So the first lighting pattern we're going to talk about is paramount lighting. Other people call it butterfly lighting. They call it butterfly lighting because it leaves this little shadow underneath the nose. And we'll get an idea of what that looks like. I'm going to have you look directly at me. Perfect. Sit up a little straighter if you can. I know you got it in your system. All right. And I'm going to start with just one light here, basically using a Profoto. This is actually the white zoom reflector with a 20-degree grid in it. And as I go, feel free to interrupt and ask questions. That's what makes this unbelievable and why all of you guys showed up here today. And I love when I get questions asked. Because I think I have the answer, and if I don't, then Seth jumps in and he answers for me. So it just all works out perfectly.
It's a group effort. It's community.
Absolutely.
There we go.
For those who want to know, I'm at ISO 80, the native ISO of my GFX 100 the second at 1/125th of a second. And I'm going to go in starting at about F8, and we're going to see what butterfly lighting looks like. So we have to make every picture count, right? So you know what to do. I was waiting for you to laugh. So looking right at me. Perfect. And your head straight on. Beautiful. And I love the mood we have going here. But you see this shadow right here under her nose? That's why they call it butterfly lighting, because they feel like this, I say they, right? Like I disagree with the entire world. Feels as though that is why they call it butterfly lighting, but it's also called paramount lighting because back in the day at Paramount Studios, people would love this sort of lighting because it's very flattering on the face. So the one thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up just a little bit because I want it to be a touch brighter. Or I could add a fill light. Which direction do you guys think I should go? Fill light or open up a little bit? Hey, thank you. I see somebody had their coffee, even though I was denied my coffee. So now I'm gonna add.
You don't deal with you when you drink coffee. I got to deal with you when you drink coffee.
I deal with this every single day.
Do you remember when you were on Twitch? Do you have any idea how fast you were talking?
People loved it. People loved it. I'm very sensitive to caffeine, so it can be quite entertaining. So now I'm going to add a fill light in. There's a question in the chat. What's the question?
Vagar's asking, why do you measure the light at the forehead and not the chin?
Because I know the forehead is going to be the brightest part. So when I'm metering light, the one thing I understand is the topography of the face. And so I know that the forehead, and if you look at the picture, is most likely going to be where I start to get a little bit overexposed. So if I metered at the chin, it would give me an exposure that would be a little bit lower. I'm really worried about the forehead in terms of like where I'm metering at. And if you look at this, you can see her forehead is completely properly exposed. And once we get down to her chin, it could be a bit under. But let me show you something. Here, I'm just gonna have her bring her chin up, getting rid of that butterfly shadow. So same thing, except I'm gonna have you bring your chin up just a little bit more, even a little bit more. Perfect. You can even incorporate your hands into it to kind of push your chin up a touch more. Perfect. So without me changing anything, just a slight position of her face. Now I bring more of her face into the light, even though I do have my fill light on this one. And so now looking at this, I would ask myself, if I wanted dark and moody, I would kind of keep it here. But if I wanted something that was a little bit brighter or higher key, I could either do what? Bring up my fill light or open up my exposure. Me, I like to properly expose and then do any adjustments in post so that I can have the most dynamic range within an image. The more I start to open up, what's going to happen is the highlights in her forehead are slowly going to start to blow out, and I'd rather have detail there. Especially with this camera, I have a huge amount of shadow detail. Like I could underexpose by like 5 stops and then bring it back up and it would still look good. But it's not going to give me the best signal to noise ratio and the best image quality possible. So that's why I like to shoot the exposure right on to take full advantage of the sensor, or why spend the money on a nice camera, you know? So now what I'm going to do is basically build my fill light up. Do you guys want to bring it up a stop or half a stop? Half a stop. First, I'm gonna let you see what it looks like all by itself. So now I'm gonna take a picture of my fill light all by itself. Now looking at that, do you want me to bring that up a half a stop or a full stop? Full stop. So now I'm gonna bring my fill light up. So now that I have my lights roughly dialed in, I know that it's easy for me just to add a stop. And I'll give you guys a quick before and after so you can look like when I add a stop to that. Perfect. Why do you make this so easy? 1 second, I forgot to turn one light off. Do this one more time. With just the fill light moved up a stop. And you can see the difference. Now, I'm just starting to fill my shadows in a lot more. Some people would even go with this exposure. I think creatively it can look really cool. But now we're gonna put our main light back on, and we bring in our shadows up again simply by raising our fill light. So I'm gonna raise it up another half a stop, and this way we incorporate the person who wanted a full stop and the person who wanted a half a stop.
Cliff says hi.
Hey, Cliff, what a compromise. Just now looking right into the camera. Beautiful. And so now we see the image with my fill light incorporated. I'll give you a quick before and after so you can see what that looks like. Looking right into the camera, and try not to move so we can give them a nice before and after. That's without the fill light. That's with the fill light. You can see that our fill light is doing a lot of heavy lifting, and my edge light snuck itself on. I didn't want to show that one yet. But you can kind of, let me do that one more time without the edge light. 1 second. Looking right into the camera, not moving. You're doing a great job. And I'm adding the fill light back in, and you'll see the fill light pop up on screen. And there you can start to see the before and after. I'll bring both of them up on screen. And you can see a lot of people would look at this exposure and say it's too dark, and their first thing would be, let me open up and make everything brighter. Oftentimes the solution is in lighting, right? Either I would choose a different light shaper that's broader, or I would add a fill light, but the exposure is actually dead on. And some people try to compensate with bad lighting by under or overexposing. I think you need to figure out what you need to do lighting wise, because now the exposure is dead on. Did I add the fill light just to bring my shadows up? I think when it comes to defining a problem in a photograph, you have to think and talk in a complete sentence. So when you look at this image on the left, you have to tell yourself, okay, I like the way it looks. It feels underexposed just because there's so much shadow. So the problem I want to solve is opening those up. I'm not going to do that by starting to move shadow sliders. I'm going to add another light. And I'm also not going to start to overexpose my image, in which I would start to lose detail in the highlights, because as I got the question before, why did I meter at the forehead? It's because I know that's where I'm going to start to get overexposed. The forehead, the bridge of the nose, all those areas.
Got a question in the chat.
Yes.
They're asking if the position of the photographer impacts the fill a lot, like you're standing in front of it.
Not only the position of the photographer, but the size of the photographer, right? Some of you guys are going to block a lot more of this fill than I am. From experience, I know that I'm going to knock about, on this light at this distance, I'm probably going to knock out about maybe 3/4 of a stop. So as I'm metering it, I'm kind of taking that into position. And even as I'm shooting, if you saw, when I start out, I raise this light so it's a little bit above me. If the lower this is and the closer I get to her, the more that light I'm going to block. So if I did get really close to her, I would even turn this up even more, or I would choose a much larger fill. But this is like NPR Tiny Desk, so I can't bring too large of a fill in here. I know you love it, Seth.
No, it just separates, people can shoot and people can't. That's all,
I like that one. So now we're gonna bring in a little separation light, which it snuck on before. And then we're gonna dive through these portrait patterns and start to build a little portfolio.
They're asking about what gel that is.
The gel I'm using it's called steel green. I forget the exact name of it, but it's a steel green gel. Does anybody want a piece? I have an extra piece. No, do you have scissors? We'll cut it up at the end of the show, and everybody can get a little piece.
We'll make it into speed light size for everybody.
Yeah. So now that I know that my main exposure is an f8. And I'm going to add this little edge light. And I'm going to bring it in around f4. The reason I'm bringing it in so low is because her skin is very moist, has really good shine to it. And anytime you have a light kind of at that direct angle, you're kind of getting like a polarized reflection on the face. So even though I meter it at, let's say, f4, it's going to look like it's 5.6, just because of the position of that relative to the camera. So you always hear people ask, I didn't turn my meter on, should I point my meter towards the camera or towards the light? Clearly in this position here, if I pointed it towards the camera, it would be doing me no use. So therefore I point the meter towards the light, because what I'm trying to do is balance all of my lights together. And so here I see I was at 5, 6, 8. I'm going to turn that down until I get to about f4.
Which light meter is that?
This is the Sekonic L858. But you could do this with any of the meters in the Sekonic line. I'm basically using it in cordless mode. You see me triggering the flash with this in my camera. And when I press the measure button here, the meter just starts waiting for a flash to go off. And we're going to see what it looks like 2 stops under our main light to start with. And you can still kind of look directly towards me. Perfect. Beautiful job. And so now here you can see I have this really nice little soft, warm glow. I like it because it almost makes it feel like there's like a little room light in the room. What happens when I shoot it at exposure? I'm gonna go to power 6.4, which should probably bring this to about f8. I'm gonna take another photo so you guys can see it before and after. Now I even get more of kind of like a warm glow when I shoot it at what I would call like proper exposure. And so there's always proper exposure, and then there's creative exposure. And creatively, I like it 2 stops underneath, because I'm just looking for it to give me like a slight little glow. And now I'm gonna build all my lights up together. So I'm gonna start with just our edge light. And if you could hold very still so everyone can see the lights build up. Here's our edge light. Here's our fill light. And here's our main light. Beautiful job. Can I get a hand for our model here, holding perfectly still, like the human? And so now you can see what happens is I start to build all these different light sources up. And so now the fun thing is, now that I know what everything is in relation to each other, it's easy for me to quickly dial in other looks because I kind of know what all of my lights are set to. So let's say if I wanted like perfectly soft flat light, I could basically turn off everything. And for perfectly soft flat light, what light am I gonna have on? Yes, the fill light. I'm glad I gave you the gel. See, the people who sit up front. And so it metered about 2 stops below. So I'm simply gonna open up from F8 to F4. I thought that was a bomb about to go off. This is, I'm gonna take another photograph. And now that's what my fill light looks all by itself. Now, a lot of people ask, why do you use a light meter? And does it save you time? I didn't have to guess to get there, and my exposure is perfect. Once I metered all my lights, I know what everything is set to. If my client's like, oh, that's a little bit too moody, turn off the other 2 lights, I go to that, I'm good to go. The one thing you guys haven't seen me do at all is guess on exposure. You'll find a lot of people will start out, take a test, take another test, take another test. Every picture should count. And so the reason I use a meter personally is once I get set in my head where everything is, then now I can easily make all these different creative changes. Because I think of lighting as like levers. My main light is a lever, my fill light is a lever, and my accent light is a lever, and I can use all of them to develop different looks. So now we're gonna go through that. We're gonna talk about portrait patterns. I'm gonna throw one of them out, and we're gonna build a little quick portfolio. How am I doing on time? I'm doing excellent on time. Yes, I have a question. Why did you have to tell me that that exists there? It's like a ticking time bomb now, like right above my
I'm
head.
going to say the word bomb or lie. What are you doing?
Don't worry, YouTube will be okay. My name's Abdullah. It's not like they're gonna make a relation.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on.
Cool, so now we're gonna build a little portfolio. Can I have you stand up for me really quickly? So, I got this. So the first thing I wanna do is, I'm gonna bring this in as my main light, and we're gonna have paramount lighting, right? Then I'm gonna quickly switch to flat lighting. And then I'm going to go over and use short lighting. I almost forgot what to call it, right? And I'm gonna put a quick portfolio together of, how many images should I do? Should I do 30? Is that a good number? Like a roll of film, let's do 36, right? All right. No, because my GFX has film mode. Watch this. Now I have 36 exposures that I have to take before I have to make any changes. I thought it was funny. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with all of our lights on. And I can't remember, did I turned our fill light up. I'm gonna remeter our fill light real quick. I can't remember if I turned it up or if I adjusted exposure to get, actually I can tell by looking here. Yep, I adjusted exposure, it's right where it needs to be. So the first thing I'm gonna start is with all of our lights on. I'm gonna have you move over to the right just a little bit, come forward just a touch, move over to the left just a little bit. So I'm trying to center you on this light, and I'm gonna move you back just a little bit more. Yes, and I'm gonna kind of keep your chin up for all the poses. Perfect. In this light, I'm just gonna bring it so it edges you out just a little bit more. And our fill light, nothing needs to happen there. So if we could start and kind of give me like 2 hands kind of on the belly, one on the top, one on the bottom. Beautiful. And we kind of keep the chin up. I love that. And I'll shoot everything horizontal because it looks better on screen, but normally a shot like this, I'd probably do it vertically. Perfect. I'm always good for a question.
They're asking if this all applies to constant lighting as well.
This all applies to constant lighting. So I see I do have one shadow that's creeping in, and I actually don't know where that's coming from. It's probably from here. I just got to move this back just a little bit. My fill lights give me a shadow of this light that I didn't see because of all the video lights. So I'm just going to move this back just a little bit. And based on that adjustment, normally I'd remeter it, but I'm just going to bring it up, let's say 0.2 of a stop. Perfect. And we're going to start this all over again. Beautiful job. And we're going to go for 10 frames. Love, and feel free to switch it up just a little bit. Now face me directly with the same pose. Even more straight on. Yes, perfect. Same pose, but just more straight on. Right now, you're still tilted that way just a little bit. I want you to kind of turn this way, kind of straight towards the camera, and center yourself under the light just a little bit more. Perfect. And then after the first shot, you can give me 10 different poses. Love. Perfect. You can adjust the hand positions. Love. Perfect. And now some with kind of eyes closed. Thank you. Love. 2 more with the eyes closed. Love that. Beautiful job. Now we're going to quickly move to a different style of lighting in which I'm going to turn off my main light. I'm going to turn off my accent light. There was a question?
Well, no, they're just asking about your denim shirt. So I don't know.
Oh.
I wasn't going to derail your
It
demo.
allows me to be recognized. So now I'm going to move to flat lighting from paramount lighting. And again, we're going to go for 10 frames. Beautiful job. Love.
I mean, you guys here can
Great.
ask
And
questions.
you can give me
too,
a perfect profile.
So
Come to the side, yes. And kind of both hands underneath. Yes, love that. 4. Love. Last one. Love that. Beautiful profile. Great job. Now we have a completely different lighting setup. So this would be for someone who wants something like a little bit edgier. It kind of gives you the feel of on-camera flash, but not. And so now the next thing we're going to do is move over. And we're going to go into short lighting. Short lighting is really good. After I take this photo, this doesn't apply to her, but I want to hear you guys' comments on when you would do this. Let's say if her and I switch positions in this shot, what it would do. And now I'm going to have you still turn towards that light for me. So now she's turned towards that light, we kind of have short lighting. And I want you to bring your face back towards me just a touch. Perfect. Love. And give him 10 frames. I do want to double check this one because this is that one light that I moved. And I can see I want to make a few more adjustments here. I'm going to remeter it one more time, but my guess is what I'm going to end up doing is changing the position because it's giving us too much of an edge. And the dress is eating up too much light. Yeah, now that I go, that light's at f2.07. So I'm going to turn it up to get it back to f4. Perfect, I'm back to f4. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap the light around her a little bit more. Or do you guys like keeping it really edgy like that? You guys like it edgy? We're going to go in a little edgy then. But I brought in a little bit more exposure. We okay in the room? Perfect. I am excellent. Thank you for asking, Seth. You've never made me feel so warm and fuzzy inside. Now that we're all
not even when we cuddle. I mean,
in this nice tight space, I would never cuddle with you. I wouldn't even think about it. Perfect. Now I'm going to double check that to make sure I like the way that it looks. Ooh, and I like that little separation we get with the little bit of light hitting the background. I'm actually going to bring that out a little bit more. I'm going to turn this towards the background a little bit because I like that little separation. What do we call that? A happy accident? Thank you. See, I'm glad. If I had more gels, I'll give them to you. Now we're going to knock out another 10. And you see the mood here is just kind of very warm, somber type of mood. So that's what I want to dial in. So you're about to laugh. As soon as I say that, I can tell that you just want to laugh your way through these. But give me like just 10 frames. You're just kind of very calm, very introspective. You're thinking about the baby. You can look down at the stomach for some of these. Do you think about your baby and just laugh? Yes. Perfect. That's nice. Love. Love. Great job. Beautiful. Fantastic. Can we give a hand for this girl? I mean, come on now. But you see, now we're in a short lighting position. Why do we call this short lighting? Because yes. We're lighting the short side of her face. And so if we zoom in, this side of her face is considered the short side, and this would be the broad side. And so that's why we call it short lighting. And we can see, again, we're starting, this is a 3-light setup. Yes? Yeah, so this light has a grid on it. There's a little circle of light on the backdrop, which is spill. And the cracks in the backdrop almost make it feel like a painted backdrop. So I'm running with that. But what you're running into here is that we have some spill coming out of the grid and hitting the backdrop. And I like it because it's giving a little separation because it's so dark, you know? And most people would take this and they would go into like their adjustments and they would be like, open up all the shadows, you know? But right there, I think it's beautiful and subtle. And so now that we start to put our portfolio together, give me 1 second. Would you like to sit down? And here's the box, in case. So already, I'm just gonna pick random photos because I pretty much know everything that we got here is money. But now we're starting to put a portfolio together in which I haven't moved lights. I'm just pulling levers, turning lights on and on, off and on, to get multiple different looks. So if you have a basement or a bedroom studio, the lighting setup I have right now, you can do with 8-foot ceilings, right? I always get people online who are like, you have this big studio, that's the only way you can do that. I start out working in the smallest spaces humanly possible. And so coming and doing this here should show you that this is pretty easy. And you can do this with speed lights. You can do this with any lights. It's just a basic reflector with a 20-degree grid on it. And so the cool thing is when you start thinking in terms of portrait patterns, which quite honestly, I think they shouldn't exist, but it's a great way to communicate. I'm only saying that so I can get someone riled up in the chat. Like, I kind of don't care, but who knows, right? So next, what do we want to go for? Someone give me a mood. Light and airy? Yeah. All right, so someone wants us to go light and airy. So what I'm gonna do, there's 2 ways I could do this. A, I can move all my lights around, right? And reset things, or I could think in a complete sentence, what do I want to do to make this image lighter and airier, right? Question? One thing I'm going to do, but I'm also going to think about other levers I can pull, meaning right now it's very popular, or people kind of doing this like reverse vignette. And then also I currently have a gel on this light. How can I like quickly cancel that out? So light and airy, I see it being more of a neutral color versus like too cool or too warm. So in my head, I'm gonna put a complete sentence together and say, in order to make this image light and airy, A, I wanna try to get the background brighter. So I'm gonna move her closer to it so there's less fall off. Digitally, I may throw in a little bit of a reverse vignette just so the edges don't get as dark. And when it comes to the pose, maybe something where like she's looking in the camera and her eyes kind of look like nice and kind of filled with light. And I may also call in a reflector where I can bounce a little bit more light up into her face so everything feels like a little bit more light and airy. You know, this is actually great because a client can come and say, I want this to feel light and airy. I have to translate that into what are my next moves on set. So I'm thinking make everything brighter, make everything a little bit more neutral, open up just a little bit. So maybe now I start to creatively overexpose a touch to figure out what light and airy is. So let's see if I can get there in one move.
Yeah, one question asking, how often do you test shoot for your lighting?
All the time. I don't even know how to answer. I would probably say if there's 365 days in a year, probably 200 of them easily. So let's pull some levers. First thing I'm going to do is bring you close to the background. So you stand up for me. I'm just going to move the chair close to the background. Because now I'm not going to be dealing with fall off the same way. And here's the box. So my background is automatically going to get brighter. 2, marking where this was. Is there like a little roll of gaff tape? Well, I know I could see pretty much where this is. So now that I'm moving a light, I'm going to mark it. I'm just going to put it on the floor. I'm not going to actually, yeah. So here, I'm just going to put a roll of tape on the floor. Because when I hear light and airy, I know that the closer I get my light source to our model, it's going to feel softer because it's going to be larger relative to her. So now I'm going to pull the lever of bringing this light closer. To about right there. And just for you, I'm going to take my gel off. Oh, this hurts. I'm going to remove the gel. Can people online see what we're doing, sir? Perfect. So you can see it is the same gel. Actually, I'll give this piece away at the end of the day, too. I don't know. It is actually Lee 728. Now, since I moved all this around, I'm going to take another quick light meter reading. Now, if we had to think of like a light and airy pose, where would we go with that? I know you just looked at me like, you make me jump, I'm going to kill you. Don't worry. So I think for light and airy, we'll have you like looking up. You'll kind of have like this heavenly expression on your face, kind of like a nice soft smile, and kind of incorporating your hands into it so that your arms feel very light and airy. You can tell me later that I'm full of something, but we're on live right now, so you can't say that right now. So here I'm at like f11.6. I know when I stand in front of this, we're going to lose a little bit of light. I'm going to even bring it closer, quite honestly, because the closer I could bring this, the lighter and the airier this is going to feel. Let me do that one more time. How are we doing over there, Seth? Perfect. We're at f16 now. I don't want to be that light and airy. All right, we're like f11. Oh, f11.6 is what I metered at. I'm probably going to go in and shoot this, my first exposure, like f11, because I'm going to be blocking a little bit of the light. And if I want to meter how much light I was blocking, I could have her hold the meter and fire it that way. But I'm going to have you look directly into the camera. And I'm going to bring in the reflector. And for this, I'm just going to have her put something like on her lap. We have some white stuff over here. Yeah.
Silver or white?
White, please.
Pizza box or white?
No, this is fine. It'll be a little bit more rigid. Perfect. So I'm gonna put this right here, but don't worry, I'll hold it. Perfect. And now we're gonna go for light and airy. And it doesn't look very light and airy. So now I'm gonna open up the exposure more because that's the lever I'm gonna pull in order to get this to look like even lighter. So right now I'm at f11. I'm gonna open up a full stop. And the other thing I would do is I would switch from a white background to a gray background. I mean, a gray background to a white background. No, this is fine. And I'm gonna get a little bit lower so I'm not blocking as much of the light that's hitting kind of below her as we kind of get that vignette going down. So another lever I'm gonna pull is basically getting out of the way more. And I'm gonna sit right here. Perfect. And now, like everybody hates, I'm gonna hold the camera, not holding it up to my eye. But here it makes sense because I'm trying to block less light. Bringing in our reflector. I'm even gonna move out of the way just a little bit. You're doing a great job. So now we're lighter and we're airier. I made an exposure change and I got out of the way as well. And then like we talked before, I'm gonna kind of go to that reverse vignette. To open up the edges and make it feel lighter and airier. Now, is this a perfect example of like light and airy? I could desaturate it a little bit. Pop the contrast. I wouldn't look at this and it doesn't scream light and airy, but from where we were, I feel like it's a significant change to get lighter and airier. And so you can see mentally what I think about in terms of like, okay, what I'm gonna do to get that to translate. Does that make sense? So now we'll go through like a few more portrait patterns. And when my client would look at this, I would tell them like, okay, do you like this? But since we're here and I'm trying to build a portfolio of images, I'm gonna take a few frames because even though I'm not in love with it, I could come back to it and be like, you know what? I really, really love that. So now we're gonna move the chair. If you stand to, yeah, I'm gonna move the chair over there.
They're asking what program you're using.
I'm using Capture One. I'll have you stand up. And I'll be quick. And I'm gonna raise this light up a little bit more so I even block less of it. And I'm gonna have you stand right in front. Perfect. And now we're in a really small studio. I took Set Studio and I cut it in half. Just like the Fuji half frame camera that I'm gonna get a free version of by the end of this today. And so now I'm shooting it at 45 and we're gonna get me 10 frames. And back up closer to the background. Perfect, thank you. Love. Love. Perfect. Perfect. Love. Love. Great job. Beautiful. Because I know it's going to look good for one of these, I'm going to change my frame and kind of go in for a beauty shot. And can I have your hands by your face? That's a great place to end. Come on now. So now again, we're starting to put this portfolio together. You have a question? What's next? Someone give me like another problem. Or I'll just continue and you guys can ask questions. So now we're gonna go and we're gonna talk about Rembrandt lighting. Let me bring your chair back. So in terms of portrait patterns already, we've gone over flat, we've gone over short lighting, we've gone over Rembrandt lighting. I mean, not Rembrandt, Paramount and butterfly lighting. But now I wanna talk about Rembrandt lighting. Does anyone here know what Rembrandt lighting is? Yes. Yes, and ideally what you're looking for is this triangle shadow on the opposite side of the face. And why would we use this? What if your client looks at your images and says, you know what? They look at your images and they tell, for those who didn't see what happened, something just dropped and I thought that it was gonna be a disaster, but it wasn't. If someone wants to add more dimension to your images is when you start bringing the light from this Paramount position off to the side. So we're gonna see what Rembrandt lighting looks like. And we're gonna add to our portfolio. Because I wanna end this with a full portfolio of images. And up on screen real quick while we wait, I'll put up a series of what we've done so far. As we start to work on our portfolio, we have 4 completely different looks, again, just by moving these small levers. So now I forgot the name of the lighting I was talking about. For Rembrandt lighting, yes. To make my life easier, I'm gonna take this off the boom. So with one hand, I can direct it off to the side a little bit more because my C-stand doesn't have wheels. That was a joke. Every time I see a C-stand with wheels, I just want to start cracking up laughing.
Stop putting wheels on C-stands that have bent legs. You're going to kill somebody.
As I change this around, I'll tell you what happened. Is that everybody started out with a regular light stand, right? And then these are chrome, shiny, and much stronger. So I think everybody said, you know what, I need that. The real secret to C-stands is being able to work in tiny spaces. So they're perfect for the studio. And I'm gonna move you forward again. I know, Steph. Anytime I can bring up how small this space is,
I would point out that we did a lot in this tiny space, and you're all welcome.
He likes when I make fun of his tiny space.
Go back to Westchester where you got room, okay? This is New York.
But
Real
now, I'm not sweating. I'm just happy to see you. No, we're good. I'm just gonna sweat through this. Why not?
You said, hey, let me wear a denim shirt in the summer. Let me just do that.
Dude, I was calling on
Brilliant.
Adorama, not hot ones. Okay, you might as well start
We can
passing
do that.
the
You wanna
wing.
do that? We can do that.
And I'm gonna have you look towards me. And so right now I'm just basically looking till I see this shadow on that side of her face, and it kind of creates this little triangle. You're doing a fantastic job at this, by the way.
You want these?
No, I'm fine. She's okay.
Look fun. You're right.
This.
We got a bad night.
I'm not gonna pass out. It's just.
Hey,
It's
Teresa,
hot.
can you throw the air on?
I mean, look at
So
him.
Ab doesn't
He's
pass
spread out. Everybody's getting a little verklempt in here, little, you know.
Don't use my Yiddish.
I'm just saying, I'm a little verklempt right now. Okay. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna use it.
There we go.
That's just the light. Oh, that's the fan on my light just firing up. So having you look at me, let me bring you the box so it's easier to kind of stay straight. Perfect. I'm going to just take a light meter reading. Again, I'm going to meter towards the light. So I'm worried about the hot spots. It would help if I turn the light meter on. Perfect. So here I'm at I'm at 4.8. I'm going to go to 5.6. Well, F8 again. Perfect. And I'm going to have you look right towards me. So the position of your head here is really important. So I'm going for this triangle on this side of your eye. So you want to kind of keep your head relatively straight due to the way I have the light position. Yes, perfect. And so now to show you guys Rembrandt, you can add a little spice to it, little angle to the face. Love that. And so now we have, so now we have Rembrandt lighting, because now we have this shadow on the left-hand side of her face. But what I want to do is, like we did before, I'm going to add my fill light back in. And I believe that's where it was. I'm going to add the fill light in back with my gel. I use a gel because I like the fill light's a little cooler. And you guys can see it better in terms of like the before and afters. At least I think you can. And I just like this gel. If everybody starts using it, like everybody is using, what's that, Mylar? Like I no longer use Mylar. I've given up. If someone wants me to use Mylar, I tell them, open up a peanut butter and jelly sandwich wrapped in tinfoil, lay the tinfoil on the ground. This joke is going somewhere. I'm losing myself in it. But that's that's what I think about Mylar. But now we're going to dial our fill light in. Again, just to bring the shadows. We're not going to open up and overexpose everything. I like the fact that everything's very moody. And now we brought our fill light in, but what do I need to remove from this, even though I kind of like the way it looks? Yes. So if I go back here, inside Capture One, I hit reset. You'll see what the image looks like without the vignette. Even though I thought the vignette looked really cool, like we're starting to get to like flannel magazine, you know? But again, now I just bring in my fill light to open up the shadows. And then I'm also going to bring back in our edge light. And I'm going to leave the edge light where it is, because I remember we got like this little spill on the background. So I'm gonna still see if I pick up a little bit of that. And now we see the same shot where we get like a little bit of edge light, so we start to get that separation. And again, this is Rembrandt lighting. I'm gonna have you turn your face towards me more, so we get less of that light kind of on your face. Perfect. But it's Rembrandt lighting with a little bit more spice added in. I started adding in these other lights. Did that one come through? Give me 1 second, I'm just double checking my tether. Okay, we're back, we're good to go. And there's the image that I shot before. And so now it's easy to see. I'm gonna go back to just Rembrandt lighting, and we're gonna add that to our portfolio. Meaning going back to just Rembrandt lighting, I'm gonna turn my fill light and my accent light off. And so now we're just gonna do these. And for these, you can stay seated, and these just be like beauty. And so these give me like a combination of like eyes open, eyes closed, but you always wanna keep your head positioned towards me. You can incorporate hands, but never turn your head too much towards the light or it'll start to lose this triangle. Well, let me take a shot straight on and let me illustrate on the screen exactly what I'm going for. So you see this shadow right here on this side of your face? I want to make sure I don't lose that. So if you turn your nose too far that way, I'll lose it. But like chin up and chin down is okay. But just try not to turn your face too much towards there. And ideally straight on is good. Perfect. And so now we're going to go for these really dark and moody images. And I do want to add a little bit of separation. So I'm basically going to take this and I'm going to point it towards the background now. So it's now going to become our background light. And I'm going to like this so much, I'm probably going to have her stand up because then the background will kind of start to separate her body from the background. Now I'm going to take a quick light meter reading. And for this one, if this light's at F8, I'm going to bring our background probably 2 stops below. And continue to build our portfolio. One second. I went to the wrong screen. I'm gonna take a light meter reading back here. I'm at F4. So now it's 2 stops below our main light. And I'm gonna bring it 2.5 stops below. Just so I just want a little bit of separation. Before I have you get up, I'm gonna do a quick test, just so you don't have to stand for too long. I'm gonna widen up to where I feel like our frame is gonna be. Perfect. Now I see I have like that nice warm glow back there. I'm okay with where it's positioned because I know I'm basically gonna have her stand up, so she's gonna be positioned a little higher. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna have you stand up. And I'll move the chair out of the way. I'll move the apple box out of the way. I'm gonna have you come back into this light. Let me turn our main light back on. I'm gonna raise this up just a touch. And I need you to stand, so I want your body going that way and keep your face as straight towards me as possible. Even more, even if you have to, yes, perfect. So I can still kind of get this Rembrandt effect. Now I'm gonna bring this, I'm wrapping this light around a little bit more. And I'm gonna have you turn your head towards me even a little bit more. Perfect. What do you wanna laugh? And turn your head towards me just a touch more. Beautiful. And so now you're gonna look towards me and kind of have your hands on the belly. Perfect. And I can already tell I'm gonna wanna bring that light down just a little bit, foreshadowing from what I see before. And since I don't have a shorter stand on this one, I'm basically just gonna tilt it down. No, I'm good. That's always back there, but this will work. And then to be safe, I'm gonna bring that fill light up another half a stop. It was at power 5.2, I'm gonna go to power 5.7. And now we're going to start working on our portfolio. Beautiful. There's a bright spot there, and I think it's the light coming from this hitting the background. So I think I'm actually going to go without our edge light. I'm just going to go with our main light, because now that I change its position, it's kind of spilling, giving me like a weird shadow. And to solve the problem of bringing her off the background, so what happened here is this upper left-hand corner, this shadow is like this highlight versus this shadow. I don't like it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually turn this back and use it as an edge light. Because I feel like the fact that she's pregnant, we're not showing that off well if there's no light hitting her. So I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to turn our edge light back on. And again, I want to see more of this triangle under your eye. So you're going to bring your face more towards me. Even more. Yeah, right there. Perfect. Even a little bit more if you can. There's like a maraca inside the air conditioner now.
Used to be company.
Perfect. And due to the fact that her dress is so dark, I'm probably going to amp that light up even more, even though I really like the way the light looks on her face. But another way I can solve this problem is if you just put that hand on top of your stomach, so I have something light there to see, and then bring the other hand underneath. Perfect. So here, I'm trying to solve the problem of shape by bringing her hands in to catch more highlight. And so that's helping a little bit. But I think ultimately here, I'm going to turn our fill light back on as well. Because I'm not 100% happy with that image. And I think that she doesn't look that pregnant in it. So now we're going to go back. Because it was so dark because of the shadows. Now I'm going to open up. Face towards me a little bit more. And now I just want a tight shot of your face so we can see the Rembrandt lighting. Face towards me a little bit more. Perfect. A little bit more. Even more. Beautiful job. And so the shadow over here is being eliminated due to the fact that I have that fill light there. But that's where we're going to break the rules a little bit. But ultimately, this was Rembrandt lighting, where you see this triangle right here underneath her chin, which ultimately just adds more dimension to the image. And I'm going to go back to that. I'm just going to kill our edge light so you guys can see it play out. And for this, we're just going to crop and make it beauty because I feel like the dress is just blending in too much. Another way I would have solved this problem was simply changing the wardrobe. But now we're going to go back to dead on, and I'm going to make these more beauty. So you can turn your whole body towards me. Perfect. And that looks great. And you can incorporate hands into the face. And I'm going to move this to the side. And you can bring your face even more straight on so I get that little triangle shadow. Oh, highlight. Beautiful. Perfect. Now let's ride that out for like 10 shots. Beautiful.
Keep my hands on the face. Or...
Yeah, you feel free to do that. Like even turn away, eyes closed. You can kind of play with it. But I don't see your hands. I'm cropping right here.
Oh.
Love that. And one more looking at me, just so we can kind of, and bring your face back towards me, even straighter. Even straighter, perfect. So we can kind of see that. We can end with some classic Rembrandt light. You can bring your head that way just a little bit more. Perfect. Love. Perfect. So here's an example of what I would say this is like perfect Rembrandt light here. And then just bringing in our fill light to open up the shadows just a little bit more. I actually like this one a lot. And again, this is one of those in which I probably did a wardrobe change if I want to bring things out. I try not to overlight things to solve problems, and sometimes it's just an art direction thing, or changing wardrobes. You have different options, and you don't have to change the light too much. So next we're gonna go to split lighting, because split lighting we can easily turn into broad lighting as well, and really talk about how head position plays a role in different lighting patterns. Split lighting isn't my favorite, and basically what it is we're just gonna light one side of the face, and the other side of the face is gonna fall perfectly into shadow. And for this, I'm gonna bring the light. I'm gonna have you step forward just a little bit. Actually, I can have you sit down for these. We'll keep these just on the face. And here's our apple box. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Or if you just like to watch me work, I'm okay with that. Perfect. And then for split lighting, basically I only want this side of your face lit. So you'll always keep your face straight on these. And on this one, like not even any angles at all.
Straight up.
Yeah. So for split lighting, I'm not gonna stay here too long, so it's not one of my favorites, unless I see something and really like it. Again, I'm just gonna come back and remeter so that we're not looking at a bad exposure. We're 8.9, so we're a little hot. I'm gonna take out about a half a stop. Perfect. Yep. And so now we'll get an idea what split lighting looks like. So you look directly towards me. Perfect. And you see there, we just light the side of the face. And here's where I'd really start to incorporate my fill light. Again, to bring up the shadows. Because most people look at that and say it's underexposed. It's just lit the way that it's lit, but it's properly exposed. And using our fill light to bring up our shadows. And if I wanted a more neutral fill light, that's where I would take off the gel. I just really like the way that the gel looks. Now, what happens when I take off the gel is I probably gained about maybe 3/4 of a stop to a full stop of exposure. So I know to turn that down because the gel was eating up some light. You're looking right at me. And if I was working for someone else, I would remeter that. But mentally, I just kind of knew to turn it down as much as I did. And you can see the effects of split lighting. But also when it comes to using a gel, do you see the difference in those two images by just having a gel here? It's a completely different image. And so when you're shooting, again, I talk to myself in complete sentences. Anytime I see a problem, I compartmentalize what the problem is. I form a complete sentence as how I'm gonna solve it. And then I pull the different little levers to do it. Instead of like running around shooting like crazy, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. If you can't recognize what the problem is and tell yourself in a complete sentence what it is, don't try to solve it by just arbitrarily pulling levers, because that's how you sink the ship. Like you're driving a ship, you're not gonna just pull something not knowing what it's doing. I think photography is the same way. One of the things you'll see when I shoot, there's not a lot of bad frames. And it's only because I'm putting thought into everything that I'm doing. Like when I see people shoot at workshops, and I'll end it here because I know sometimes people use the camera as a way of communicating instead of communicating what you want based on trying to solve a problem. And so I see a lot of people when they're shooting, they do one of these. And I'm just like, why would you waste that many frames? Every frame should count. And so ultimately, when I think of lighting patterns, it helps me relay where I want the light relative to the position of someone's face, especially if I'm working with someone else on set. Do you have to memorize them? No. if you're in the studio and you want to know the effects of what a different light shaper does, or if you just want to experiment and see if you're pulling the lever of the position of the light relative to the face, what it changes, then it's a great way to practice. It's a great exercise. Don't feel like you have to memorize them. I was writing them down on a envelope, looking at my video that I did on Adorama TV to try to remember exactly what I did before. But yeah, any final questions? You guys are too easy. Well, thank you guys for coming out today. Definitely give a hand for our model, Dshani. And last but not least, we were able to quickly put a portfolio together, even though I was in this very hot, this very small. Oh my God.
You guys come to my next demo. What to do when your photographer does nothing but cry all the whole session.
But going through and just putting some of our final images on screen, we were able to easily put a portfolio together with just pulling some really small levers. You don't need a lot of space. I think people just need to think differently about taking pictures in terms of what am I actually trying to accomplish. If you can talk to yourself, be your own best friend, Seth is very used to this. Then, you know, I think
Some of us don't have entire teams.
I think that you'll be very, very, very successful. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you.